All right, we are live. What's good, everyone? What's good? I just realized I did not get water yet. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay then. Who's ready for more drama? Hopefully, it's a lot more juicy than the whole Chris Tyson and Mr. Beast bullshit. Because frankly, I'm not sure if you have watched my streams or stream actually only one, and videos about it, but it's such a non-issue. But apparently, MOISTCR1TIKAL got cancelled for saying he is not against children transitioning, which is ridiculous. Okay. Now, whether you agree with him or not, canceling him for an opinion, it's dumb. I don't know. I feel like if you give your opinion on something, saying something that you don't agree with, and then you just try to cancel him just because you don't agree with someone, that's pathetic, bro. A real person, all right, not an NPC, they would have a discussion, or at least at the very least, be mature about it, and just right, all right, well, let's just disagree, agree to disagree, and unfortunately, that's just not how the world works nowadays, man. The moment you have a take people don't like, or people don't agree with, it's, yeah. They just try to cancel you or end your career or whatever. But however, we're gonna watch the whole debate. yeah, we're gonna watch the whole MOISTCR1TIKAL versus Sneako debate, because I want to know the whole tea, all right, before we watch this the video from him. I don't believe Sneako made a video. If Sneako made a video, we'll watch that too if we have the time. But for now, we're gonna hop into the MOISTCR1TIKAL versus Sneako debate, because two opinions that were very shocking, and both of them were MOISTCR1TIKAL being not against kids transitioning, and then Sneako apparently supporting pedophilia or marrying like young kids or whatever. I'm not sure about the full details, so I'm not gonna say everything, but we're gonna see. We're gonna hear it out of his own mouth. So yes, get ready, boys, because this is gonna be a wild ride. Also, shout out to MOISTCR1TIKAL Reacts for uploading the whole thing, because he didn't do it yet for some reason. Maybe he's a pussy. I don't know. Neither did it, by the way.
Again,
Sneako didn't,
it depends on the person.
It's just so, you see why that's such an, I don't know why I don't see the way that's such an issue. Like Predators that Chris Hansen sat down with said the same thing.
Right, but
this 13-year-old is physically mature.
But you see, this issue, in my worldview, everything looks good, sounds good.
Yeah, no, it's all good on my end over here. Yeah, you sound fine. Video looks good.
I gotta make sure you're. I don't have headphones because
Bro, the chair Moist is in, that seems so comfortable, I'm not gonna lie. That seems so comfy, bro. Crazy.
It is what it is. 1 second.
No, you're good.
Alright, we're just gonna skip ahead until they actually go to talk.
It was like he had like some cancer thing outside Panera Bread, and he's like, MOISTCR1TIKAL didn't donate anything. Maybe he was just trying to get a sale, and then when he said that, I'm like, yeah, bro, clips not mags. And then I gave him $100.
Nice. Places. I just don't think people have a...
Okay.
How are things going on your end?
Things are going good. Every time I talk to you, I'm in some random country. Last time I was in Japan. I was standing outside of a club, actually.
Green landscape, actually. That was very cinematic. You go ballistic.
Is us, and I haven't been...
I suppose that people mean to say.
Like explaining to a Turkish guy what Rumble is. to like
be, and I think the like I feel like 18 is a pretty well established
age of marriage.
Here we go.
That's a valid question, and I would
on like the age of
about what we came to talk about.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, man. So with all of what's going on here, why are you so insistent on like the age of consent being like unreasonable? Or at least that's the impression I and most people gather from the way you speak about it.
That's a valid question, and I want to first ask, like, what's your issue with my opinion?
It sounds like you're agreeing with pedophiles, right? Like, what else?
On the age of
Also, I like that the that the screen is the same shit as my chair.
consent, age of marriage.
Shout out to PewDiePie.
Because I feel like age of consent should just be an accepted number, and I think the accepted one is 18.
I disagree. It should be 21 or 24, because the brain isn't fully developed until those ages. When does the brain fully develop? All right, get some brass tacks here. Mid to late 20s. All right, this should be the age of consent because then your brain is fully developed, and then you can actually mentally understand what you consent to. Okay, so before that, you do not have, in my opinion, have any age of consent. I'm sorry, 20 most.
Like, regardless of where you talk about in the world, I feel like once you start talking about someone under 18, you're basically just talking like a predator. Like, I feel like 18 is a pretty well-established number for most sensible people. At 18, you're going to college, you're living your own life now, you're outside of your family now.
Hold. Bro, what do you mean 18? You're out of your family house, you're out of college, or you're in college, and you living your life. With what finances, my boy? Like, what? Like, nah, that's not happening, bro. What the hell?
Anything under that, you're still a kid.
Okay,
I agree.
You know, it's not 18 in most of the United States where we both live, right?
It's not even 18 in my country.
Yeah, but that refers to like Romeo and Juliet laws, where if you're like 19 and with a 16-year-old, it's not technically illegal, but you're not a 19-year-old, right? So why would you be arguing for like a 16?
Well,
you know?
First of all, I'm not arguing to lower the age of consent. I don't believe in the age of consent. We can get there. I want to establish some terms first.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's not even just with Romeo and Juliet laws. There's a lot of states where it's 16 regardless of Romeo and Juliet. And then you go to Europe, most countries are 16. Japan,
Correct.
I think they just changed it. It was like 13 or 14, and now
Yep.
it's 16. Brazil, it's 14. I saw that from a Nelk Boys video. They were joking around about how they should, like, when in Rome, they're in Brazil, so they might as well sleep with a 14-year-old.
Yeah, but like laws that are very dependent on inside people's moral code. Sure, you can get away with like being with someone that age, but the people around you are gonna criticize you regardless whether it's legal or not, because a lot of people like Moist Critical here believe that 18 is the max, or it's the minimum age of consent.
Right. Across the world, 18, I want to see, like, why do you think 18 is the age of consent?
Because that right now is the one that makes the most sense. I guess to piggyback off what you're saying, so if you're traveling right now, if you go to Europe, are you going to be comfortable like hooking up with a 16-year-old? Like, just because it's legal there, would that make you feel comfortable?
No, I don't hook up anymore. I'm
not saying that you do, but I'm saying if you were, you know, single and looking for someone, would you feel comfortable with it being a 16-year-old if it's in Europe versus US?
I wouldn't do that. Like, I would not have sex before. I think sex, like, out of wedlock altogether is something that we should not encourage anymore. And having the age of consent, having that idea encourages.
He's deflecting the question, kinda. Not really, but a little bit. He said, like, no, I don't do that anymore. And then he came with his own point. So, it's not a yes, but it's also a no, I feel like.
People to have premarital sex, right? Just that term, age of consent, means you're consenting to something that we shouldn't be doing. So, no, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
No, I don't think so. The age of consent sounds more like, it's that you can agree to things that are very severe or very can be very life altering for you, right?
Okay, so then instead of let's take it away from like premarital sex. Would you feel comfortable marrying a 16-year-old? Like, would you meet a 16-year-old with romantic intent if you're in Europe, and
Okay, here we
maybe marry a 16-year-old?
Now he's questioning.
I probably wouldn't personally, because I don't think that I'd be on the same mental playing field. I like to have intellectual conversations. I like to be with women that are around my same age, because then I can have conversations. I like to relate to them. You know, I think there'd be too much of a gap. But other people, like, if they're able to get along, then I don't see why that's so much of a problem.
But how do you get along as, like, let's say I am 25, right? And let's say I meet a girl, she's 16, she's still in high school, she's still like very immature. The concept of puberty is full on growing inside of her brain, right? And overall she's very reckless. She tries to like steal cigarettes, or try to let other people buy her cigarettes or alcohol or whatever, right? Like, do all these things that you are as a parent would like really encourage them to not do. That's what she would do, right? What do I have in common with someone that is 16 years old? Maybe some I don't know, maybe some interest, maybe some anime or something, or like a video game or something like that. But outside of that, I don't see how you can be very in tune with each other if you have such a huge age difference. Because I grew up, I know what a cassette is, I know what a video tape is, right? VHS, like I know what a Walkman is, all that things. But that woman, or I guess still girl, of 16 years old, she probably just grew up with like a MP4 or MP3 player. Like, it's a whole different, almost big different generation. Like, she grew up with a smartphone. My first smartphone was in high school. Like, I just don't see that 16 is a right age. Now I do think whether you have like a 2, maybe 3 year age difference, I don't think it's a insanely big deal. But more than that, that's too much.
But why don't you see that as a problem? So for you, you're recognizing like, this person's much younger than me. It is a kid. Like, you are talking to.
Okay, so let's define these terms. Let's
in high school.
Before we even get into, let's define these terms before we even get into this conversation. What is a child?
I would use the age of consent. Under 18 would be a kid in my eyes.
Okay.
So a 17-year-old who's 364 days, that's a kid?
Yep. I'm gonna use very hard set terms. If it is under 18, even if it's 17, 364.
Yeah, he's going for the no nuance route. That's a good path to take, because whenever you start to talk about nuances, it becomes really difficult and very confusing to talk about.
Or that's still a kid.
That's a kid. Okay,
I think it's important to have these hard lines in the sand where it doesn't have this kind of wiggle room.
Yeah.
Okay, why does that define kid?
As I said earlier, at 18, at that point, you're going out of high school, you're going to college, you're living on your own, you're no longer, a child under your parents' roof, for the most part, extenuating circumstances, of course, but at that age, you are starting to become independent. You are no longer just in your parents' household, a kid.
Okay, but if you argue that, then what if a child, let's say 16, because if you are a orphan, I think, at least here in the Netherlands, if you are an orphan and you turn 16, because the age of consent is 16 here, they can start living on their own. So the age of consent, he's linking the age of consent with how mature or how independent someone can be, or is willing to be. Is that what he's arguing here? Because that's a very I don't know. It's not a great explanation in my opinion. I would rather go for like the cognitive levels, which is like I said, 20 plus of age. Because if it's not 20 or over, your brain is not fully developed. I think that's a way stronger point than, oh well, they're out of the house, they're trying to be more independent, they're going to college, if they go to college, obviously. Like it's not a good point in my opinion. It's not a good explanation, but if he goes with it, that's okay. It's not the worst, obviously.
You are now going off into the world on your own.
You do admit that varies for most people, right? A lot of people don't move out of their parents' homes until they're 25, 26, 27. A lot of people don't.
There's nothing wrong with that.
A lot of people graduate high school 16. A lot of people graduate high school 20. It's a huge variable. So to set that in stone is that this is when you're a kid and this is you're an adult, that doesn't apply to most people. So why would you define a kid and an adult if it doesn't apply to most people?
Because it needs to be defined. Otherwise, you can get into this really gray area where you, like a lot of the things you say, can be misconstrued as you wanting to have sex with a 15, 16-year-old.
Who construed that?
A lot of people, because I mean,
I don't think anybody
clips that I played in the video, you were saying like the age of maturity, the age of development, and then you use 16 and 17 in that clip. So like, for the age of marriage.
The definition of an adult is 18 years old.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fine establishment right there. Anything under 18 would classify as a kid. I think that's important.
Okay, but you're getting that from what? From personal experience, from the government, from the law? Because that's legally in America.
It sounds more of a moral thing. Because if you have interacted as a older person with someone that is like the age of 16, you can tell that these people are not the same. They're not on the same wavelength at all. They're not on the same like life cycle as you, and it's just very different. It's way better to have a relationship with someone that is on the same, let's say, like adult level as you, right?
That's when you become an adult, correct?
Yeah, legally.
So you're following the government's definition of an adult.
I think there needs to be a definition, and that one's been around for a long time, and I think that's the one most people accept as the closest to, like, yeah, this is when you become an adult.
It actually hasn't, right? 200 years ago in the 1800s in America, the age of marriage...
Yeah, we can't live like that. We're...
So back in the day, there were different opinions, like... So what? They changed. Just like slavery. It's changed. Like, it's not like we believe the same things 200 years ago. Like, it's not the same thing. 200 years ago, it's like what, 4 or 5 generations of people. Like, that's not a good argument here, man.
So much more advanced than that. Why would we play by those rules? Because at that point, are you going to start arguing that we should be able to start wedding 12-year-olds? Like, is 12 too young?
That's not the point. I'm saying you're saying that the U.S. defined adult as 18. Well, I'm saying 200 years ago, the age of marriage in America was 10, and the U.K. was 7.
Yeah. So they were like, "Oh shit, this shit is weird. Let's raise it." Like, what? There's nothing wrong with raising that age of consent. Like, hell, if you raise it to like 25, no one's gonna matter. Like, nobody cares. Like, maybe some people would complain that they can't buy alcohol or like fucking cigarettes anymore or whatever. But outside of that, like, I doubt anyone will complain about it.
Right, so if the government decides to change it, you're saying it's 18. If the government, maybe if Kamala Harris gets elected, then the new legal age of an adult is 25. And there could be reasons to say that. They graduated college, they don't leave the house until this age. Their brains don't develop until they're 25. Your frontal cortex is not fully developed until you're 25 years old. A lot of people aren't making serious money. They're not able to live independently. A lot of things that you could use to classify an adult don't happen for the new age American until 25 years old. So if Kamala Harris raised it to 25, would you then say that that's the new age? Would you agree with that?
Why not?
I think that'd be totally understandable. Like,
right.
I think that's fine.
So then does that make anybody who sleeps with an under 25-year-old, does that now make them a pedophile?
Oh, now you're gonna argue like what is morally correct and what is morally incorrect or legally incorrect. Or like you're living with these same morals that 18 plus is adult. And then all of a sudden the law changes to like 25, and then all of a sudden, what if you're in a relationship with like a 22-year-old and you're like just turned 25, right? Like that's That's a tough point.
No, I don't think necessarily that makes them a retroactive pedophile.
So then what's a pedophile?
But it's an accepted definition of 18 for a long time. Is
not for that long.
Upon.
Not for that long, and not through most states, and not through most countries across the world.
Do you see why this is like a weird take to have though? Like I don't think you're coming at this from a place of you wanting to fuck a 15-year-old, are you? Like to go back to that question, is 12 too young? Do you think 12 is too young?
I think 12 is too young for me. Yes.
Well, for you, do you think 12 is too young in general? I feel like that should be an easy answer.
12 is too young in general, correct? Because,
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't think you're coming at this
I want to
from that
define,
angle.
but what you're saying, your definition of adult is not even the actual definition. Do you know what the definition of child is? Like anybody watching this can Google it. You can Google it too. The definition of child is somebody who has not reached puberty yet. That's the definition.
Okay, yeah, but then we have like a teen. That's not an adult. We call them young adults, but they're not adults. So just because the definition doesn't qualify as an adult after puberty doesn't mean that they are an adult, because we don't clarify people that are in puberty as adults. We call them teens, teenagers, young adults. So even if you say like, children are until they get to puberty, that's fine. I think that's okay. Then you get like the whole like different pedophile styles, right? Like all the different types of Pokemon, like Heberphile, whatever the fuck, right? And that's like in like what age bracket you like children in that sense, right? So then you get like this whole like gray area with like okay, so if after puberty they're adults, let's say that's true, right? Then this whole like age of consent thing is still in view, because guess what? Until 20 years old, your brain is not fully developed. Most people have them like in 22, 23 even, right? That they're fully developed. So in my opinion, right, brains are what the ages of you. So if your brain is not fully developed, I feel like you're not allowed to be to have age of consent, because you don't understand everything 100%. Maybe you understand like 90 or 85%, right? And I guess that's good enough. That's why they got 18. But I think 20 is a way better age for that.
Yeah, and then you get into like the abibophile or whatever, as opposed to pedophile, and those are all.
I don't know. I have no idea what those terms are. I don't know what that is, but
That's a huge gap. Everyone knows that.
I'm saying that's the actual definition. When somebody reaches maturity, it's based off of biological and physical maturity.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But puberty is not physical maturity. That's the growth of the maturity. So I don't know if he's saying that when they start puberty that they're fully mature, because it's a progress. It's a process, I mean.
Right now.
So it varies for everybody. Adulthood is not something that you can set in stone, because it's different for the entire world. I moved out when I was 14. A lot of people don't move out until they're 25. I went through puberty when I was 17. A lot of people went through puberty when they were 13, 14, 15. It changes for everybody. So for you to say that this is the set in stone age and say you're a pedophile if it's under 18, and then if you're over 18, you're fine. Well, then that's a weird line that doesn't make sense. So you're going to say this person is a terrible person if they're 17 years old, 364 days, and right after that, they're good to go. Well, it changes.
No, I think that's too black and white. I don't think anyone thinks, you had sex with a 17-year-old, you're a terrible person, unless they're like, let's say, 26 or higher or whatever, right? Like a big chunk of age difference between them, right? I don't think anyone's gonna call them a monster when an 18-year-old goes with a 17-year-old. I don't think that's very weird. I mean, whenever you're in school, there's like a 3-year difference. That's why 3 years is a pretty normal age difference between couples, because some couples hook up with like older men or older women. So 3 years is fine. Outside of that, it's a bit too weird in my opinion.
For everybody. So we have to have something, a definition. We have to be realistic with everybody. Well, we don't. But you're saying we, but that's not even the case in the country we live in.
Why argue against it? If you don't want the age of consent to be lowered, why are you making arguments that the same people who do make? Right now, what you're saying is kind of what NAMBLA used to say, if you're familiar with
I
NAMBLA.
have no idea what this is.
NAMBLA was the North American Man-Boy Lover Association. They were
Oh, God.
Because these people don't want they want to have sex to take advantage, and they don't abide by the rules of marriage. They don't have any sort of morality. They just want to have. I'm arguing for this because I believe in marriage. Sex should only be within wedlock. That's why I'm talking about this.
Why if you're arguing, we can take sex out of it. Why, when you're arguing for marriage, do you want it to drop? Like, okay. 16,
when did I say? Just because I don't believe in the age of consent does not mean that I want it to drop. Like, see, that's where like the internet can go apply that. Just because I'm saying,
well, no,
because you're saying the definition of an adult is 18. I'm saying that's an arbitrary number, and that makes no sense. We should encourage marriage when people reach maturity. That makes much more logical sense.
That's even more vague.
Yeah, and 18 is a pretty okay age bracket for maturity.
Though, like, but also you directly
it's vague because it's different for everybody.
When someone can legally drive, they should be able to legally marry. You did say that to me.
Right. When somebody is legally ready to drive, the same thing. I think adults should drive cars. That's why I told you that.
I agree.
Yeah, but you 15 and 16-year-olds can drive cars.
Yeah, but that's only in America. All right, if you go in Europe, you have to be at least 18 for you to be able to drive, to get a license. And American car laws are dumb anyways, because Americans can't drive for shit. It's just also like America is in a really, really bad state because their whole like infrastructure is built around you having a car, and if you don't have a car, you can't really cycle anywhere. I guess you could like get a scooter when you're like 16-ish or something, right? But even then, that's very dangerous because scooters don't go like the maximum amount of speed that goes on the highways and stuff. So you have to only be in like cities and all that, and most people need to travel through multiple cities to get to where they need to work or anything like that. So, and then you have like obviously public transport, but public transport in America is also garbage outside of cities. So it's just the whole infrastructure in America is very centered around if you need a car. If you don't have a car, you're fucked. So that's why they make it like 17 and 16-year-olds, 15 and 16-year-olds can drive a car. But if they were in America or in Europe, where the car infrastructure is way less saturated, people can't drive until 18. It's just how it is. So I don't know if you should argue just because 15 and 16-year-olds can drive in America, that's why people should be able to buy, let's say, alcohol, let's say cigarettes, let's say be able to marry, let's say get a tattoo. You know, that's if you make that a maturity rating. I don't think that's a very, very good point here.
You said when someone can legally drive
across the world, 15 and 16-year-olds can have sex too. I think that people should not operate. But see, you keep thinking that I'm saying this because I want the age to be lowered. That's not what I'm talking about at all.
That's what it comes across as, though. When you
maybe with the internet brain, because people in the West, they want to have sex all the time, and they have a different sort of mindset.
No, I think people are confused because you don't really state your opinions very clearly and very arbitrary. If you just told people like, all right, I think the age of consent is very nuanced, and I think we should reevaluate what the age of consent is. I think if he said it like that in that manner, it would be a lot better to like understand. Because now it seems to me like he's just arguing like against age of consent, to like because he thinks 18 is not a good age, but he doesn't say anything like a solution for like what is better, right? He only like made a quick comparison about what if the new president raises it to 25, is that then the new thing? But that's just trying to like discover what is like opposition is thinking about, right?
Right. Here in the Middle East, I'm in the Middle East right now, they want to get married and then have sex. So people, just because I'm saying this does not mean automatically lower. No, that's not the case at all. I want to ask you then, because you're insinuating that it sounds creepy and that I sound like a pedophile. What's the definition of pedophile?
It is an adult who is attracted to children. Yeah,
it comes from the Greek word pedo means child, and phile means love. So somebody who loves a child.
Nah, that's no. that could also like that could also point to like a dad or like a mom. That's not a good not a good explanation of the word.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
An adult who is attracted to a child.
To a child, somebody who has not reached physical maturity.
Yes.
That's the definition of child. Somebody who hasn't reached physical maturity. It has nothing to do with 18. The definition of the word talks about physical maturity, not the U.S. government definition that you're basing it off of.
But there needs to be an agreed upon place. Otherwise, you get into this area. Again, you said when you can legally drive, you should be able to legally marry.
Right.
We don't have to talk about sex. Do you think it's okay to be marrying a 15 or 16-year-old? Probably not, right? Like I would imagine, probably not.
It depends. So this is where the age of consent becomes arbitrary. I don't even believe like that. Consent is a weird thing to even speak about, but it should be the father, right? If I want to marry a girl, I shouldn't even just get consent from her. I should get consent from her parents. She should want to say yes. Her parents should want to say yes. That's consent from the family, and then you get married. That's the
Very, very old school, but I guess
Islamic way. That's the only way that makes sense. This American way of this girl wants to have sex now, she gave consent, and then you get all these false allegations like, oh, she was drunk, oh, she took it back, oh, she retracted consent. All this stuff, like there's not even a specific way that we can define consent. What is consent? Some people say it's yes. Some people say it's like nonverbal communication. Some people say that it doesn't count because she was under the influence or she was intimidated. Even this is an arbitrary, is a weird way to define when you're allowed to be in a relationship with somebody.
You're kind of talking around it, though. Those are all very different things. So, like I said, we don't have to be talking about sex. I was talking about marriage. The question was, do you think, and you said when you are legally able to drive, you should be able to legally marry. Do you think it is okay for an adult to legally marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
Okay, well, by my logic, if the man is physically mature, if he's went through puberty and he's mentally ready at the age of 16, he's an adult. If he wants to get married to another girl who becomes a woman.
I just said an adult. Is it okay for an adult?
Right, and but we haven't even established exactly what an adult. So if somebody goes through puberty and they're physically ready, they're biologically ready, they're an adult. So the two 16-year-olds can be considered adults by my logic.
We're not talking about two.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about an adult.
That is an adult.
You're arguing it.
What I'm saying is that so then what is an adult now?
Okay. We'll use your age. Someone who is 25. Is it okay for someone who is in their 20s to marry a 15 or 16-year-old? And let me explain, when you're doing your arguments, it's coming from an adult. I've never heard you say, like, two teenagers should be able to marry. Like, I haven't heard that with these takes. I'm talking about someone in your position in the 20s. Is it okay for you to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
But teenager, even bringing up this term that has nothing to do with child and adult. So there's two phases. You're a child, and then you physically mature.
I don't know why you can't just answer that directly.
I'm saying the difference between a child and adult is when you're physically and when you're biologically, when you're mentally ready to have kids. That's the teenager.
He's exactly doing the exact thing that he always criticized like leftists about. They are making like a comparison and like avoiding the answer and like making up other arguments in their fucking question without saying actual answers. Like, you criticize people a lot on doing this, and now you're doing it yourself. It's kind of stupid, I'm not gonna lie.
It's not even, so you added another term in this. It goes child and then adult. You mature, and then you're physically ready.
Well, I didn't add it. You brought in two 16-year-olds. We were talking about an adult and a 15 or 16-year-old. I was not the one that brought this into the equation.
Right. If it's illegal, if it's illegal, because we believe in Islam, we believe that we should obey the law of the land. If that's illegal, okay. if that's not permissible, then we don't do it. We don't break the law.
But I'm talking about your personal beliefs. Do you think someone in their 20s should be able to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
To someone in their 20s should be. I mean, I personally wouldn't do it. I don't know many people who would do it.
Oh my god, just say yes or no. Oh my days, bro. Please. He's just twisting around the answer every single time. He's always like, oh, well, I wouldn't do it. But you're just indirectly insinuating that you don't have a problem with if someone did it. Like, is that your take here? Like, is that really the thing you agree on?
the maturity for people and the teenagers in the West is getting much worse. But there are
talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for? I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore. Anyone? Do you think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
A 21-year-old, if there was a marriage where the father consented and the daughter consented, and it was both good on both families, and they wanted to do it, why am I going to get involved? Why should we get the government involved?
Well,
Why would I tell them if everybody's consenting, if everybody's okay with it, if the parents are okay with it, if nobody's being harmed, if it's going to be okay, if they're both abiding by the rules and they're not hurting each other, why not?
In the perfect world, this would actually work out. You know, in the perfect world, these parents are very mature. They are very well, good parents, and just you know, good regular thinking adults, right? But if you would make this a rule where the parents can pick out whether you marry or not, it's I don't know. And some people don't have family, you know, orphans. What do? Do they just go to like the government and they have to consent for them? Like, even if this was if this would become a rule, it's very difficult to enforce. So.
But they're still, like, they're at best a sophomore in high school. They can't consent to something like that. Like, do you think
okay, so now it's sophomore.
They can consent to a job. Let's go there. 16-year-olds can work part-time. They can consent to that. They can sign legal papers because they have to sign a contract if they want to work. So there's some particular permissions or not permissions, some particular rights that a young adult, let's say a young adult or child, I guess, has that are fine and that are accepted in normal culture. But whenever it comes to like them choosing who they have a sexual relationship with, then it's a problem. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy in that side, but outside of that, it's just, I don't know, it's just a very hard point to argue here. Because if you don't have an age of consent, then what if there's like a family and that decide like, yeah, these 6-year-olds are gonna marry each other? Like, it's just very, very weird, very hard to enforce as well. Like, it's not a good rule.
More in high school versus senior in high school. What's the difference? Like, what's the difference maturity-wise? I'm just
saying, like, I'm giving you a perspective on.
That's not what he said. He's been saying this about a 20-year-old. A senior in high school is not 20. It's like at the very least like 16 or 18.
Where that age would be in life. Like, they can't consent to something like that.
That's probably you're bringing up an outlier that's probably not going to happen as much. I'm saying that these are arbitrary reasons to say, like, a sophomore versus a senior in high school. How much different were you really maturity wise?
That's not what he said. He said 20-year-olds.
It wasn't that much of a difference. The reason that you keep saying 18 is because in California, where they post Hollywood movies, it's 18. And so everybody across the world, this is the standard that we believe in. This is the correct age, exactly on the dot. And if it's anything under that, are you going to say here that if a 21-year-old got married to a 17-year-old who was almost 18, is that 21-year-old a pedophile?
I would say that is a morally bad thing to do for sure.
Not morally bad. Not morally bad. I
wouldn't call them a pedophile.
So when does somebody become a pedophile?
I would say when you have this position, you're
not answering the question.
I'm explaining it.
Okay.
When you are in your 20s and you start preying upon someone who is still a child, a 15, 16, 14, anything under 18, a 21 and a 17-year-old.
But you still haven't specifically defined what a child is.
I did.
So then why? Okay, there you go. So if pedophile is love of children, and your definition of adult starts at 18, if the 21-year-old marries a 17-year-old who's turning 18 tomorrow, he is a pedophile based off your definition.
According to the law, yes.
As I said, if he would wait, he would not be. Then yeah,
well, not wait. Based off your definition, that person's
in that position. There is no reason to not wait for the legally established, agreed upon definition of when you stop being a child.
Okay, so now we get into the question of whether the pedophile thing, is that a moral answer or a legal answer? Because it seems like morally, you know, it's pretty much, okay, it's almost there. That morally, that's not a pedophile. Legally, it is. But those are two different things.
Yeah, and we base our laws around morals. That's why previously, like you said, 200 years ago, the age of consent was like 10, 11, 12, whatever, right? But, you know, morally we evolved and now we think it's 18 at the very least. Or some countries are still very weird about that, and it's 16 for some reason. Good old Netherlands. Great, thanks.
But they don't need to be. They, they can coexist. You recognize that, right?
No.
Like,
then that's when you muddy up morality with the law. Now you're allowing the government to determine morality, and that's where things get muddied up. Because if they changed it with like they did before, like 200 years ago in the 1800s when it was the age of 10, that was fine. Legally back then, they were not a pedophile. Today, legally, they are a pedophile. There's no consistency there.
But
You can't allow the government to determine morality because it changes all the time. Tomorrow, if the U.S. government legalized bestiality, if the government legalized incest, based off your logic, there'd be no reason why that's wrong. Can I ask you, Moist, do you think that incest is wrong?
What? How did he? Oh my days. Okay, listen. Oh, okay, so it's very exhausting to listen to this man. He is just arguing about Okay, so his whole argument is that if your morals are based upon the law, then you would, on a flip, just decide what is morally correct based on the law. And I don't think that's correct. I think if the law changes to something you are against, you would not suddenly just decide, yeah, I'm okay with this. Like he said, incest or bestiality. I hope the majority of people, alright, I hope everyone, but I know not everyone's gonna say yes. I think that's weird. Okay, both of those things should not exist. But what's the point here? Like, it feels like the only thing Sneeko has done so far is very like he's just tiring him out, because he just keeps on like deflecting everything. He keeps on just saying stuff about or he's like arguing about how his opposition is thinking and how he is formulating and how his moral code and what he thinks. But eventually he hasn't said anything else. He just been like, he pretty much been holding up his shield, right? There's not like a back and forth kind of deal. There's like a shield. Every time he says something, he parries him, and then he comes back with another like answer, like something, or he just avoids the fucking question. Like, he's not in the offense here. He's only on the defense, and it's very tiring because he doesn't say anything he thinks. He only criticizes what Moist is thinking.
Yes.
Why is incest wrong?
There is under no circumstances any excuse for anyone of the same bloodline to be romantic like that. By no means at all.
Why?
I really think it should be pretty obvious why.
I don't know why. I'm asking.
Even I know where you're going with this, because I've heard this argument from another streamer before about like the ethics of incest. If they don't have a kid and thus don't pass down like bad genes that lead to a bad child. I've heard this before.
But I want to hear your answer, because are we going with legal or are we going to follow some sort of morality? It is some sort of consistent morality. Why is incest wrong?
Incest is wrong because I believe that no family dynamic should ever include a sexual relation.
Why?
I don't think that. Because it is not healthy. It is a bad thing to do. It is a horrible thing to subject someone to.
But why is it horrible? Because who told you that?
You don't have to tell me, bro. Like, it's just weird. It's like you have to like set yourself in a place, right? Like, you have a family, right? And then you think about having, God forbid, sexual relationships with, let's say, sister or your mother. Like, if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, then I'm sorry, you need psychiatric help. I'm sorry, bro. Like, there's something wrong with you. I don't care how I can't even think about it. I can't even say it. I don't care how attractive you think they are. All right, I really don't care. I really don't care. It's just very very weird. It's just very weird, and I don't think Moist has to make a very good point here about why he thinks incest is wrong. If he just says I think it's weird, that's fine. I think that's a very very valid reason why he would wouldn't defend not pedophilia, wouldn't defend incest.
It's what I believe. And also, if you do have a child with your own kin, the child suffers.
Okay,
correct.
Say it's two brothers, two gay brothers. Chris Tyson and other Chris Tyson.
What is this argument? Okay, whatever.
And Chris, if they're two brothers and they decide to be in a no, genuine question. It's what you believe in. I want to figure out where your beliefs come from. You personally believe that.
My beliefs come from a place of what I believe to be moral, where I don't believe that anyone in the same family has any position to be romantic with one another. I don't think
So
that's a
your
healthy
morality
dynamic.
comes from yourself?
My morality comes from like the world around me. I don't have.
Okay, so if the morality comes from the world around you, then by your logic, if you lived in America in the 1800s where the age of 10 was okay, and where the age of 7 was okay in England just 200 years ago, if you followed the world around you, that would be okay.
Yeah, that would be okay because there was no stigma around it. Nobody criticized it, so there's no reason for you to think it's wrong because you grow up with this idea and like lifestyle around it that everyone just goes on with life with this notion, right? Obviously we know it was a terrible idea, because I mean 12-year-old is just way too fucking young, and it's just like morals definitely change upon what you're used to and how you're raised, right? That's why brainwashing is so easy to kids, because you can just teach them whatever you want, right? If you say, let's say you teach them that the color blue is actually the color red, right? And then this person is gonna go through their whole life thinking that blue is red and red is blue. Then eventually someone's gonna like conflict with him or her and then say like, why do you always say that's blue? That's red. No, that's red. That's not blue. And then they have like this discussion about how they perceive the world, because he learned red is blue and blue is red. So just because he like learned what it is doesn't mean he's right.
That was fine.
And it's not now because we've evolved past then. Like
Right.
we are significantly further along to recognize this was a bad thing. People evolve. Like people
Correct.
like here we'll go even stupider with this.
So your morality is ever changing. It changes with
Yes,
people.
morality is changing. Like you are not born and then stay the same the entire time. As you take in more information,
Okay.
as you grow, so does your understanding
Okay,
of the world.
so,
That's how it
so
should
let's
be.
see where this
Opinions
goes.
change,
Let's see where this
perspectives change.
Okay, let's say we continue this, and morality is ever changing. And then you, Moist Critical, you're living in America, and now everyone around you now believes incest is okay, as long as you don't have a child that's going to come out deformed. You have.
Then I would disagree with it.
So your morality does not come from those around you.
It does come from him, but whenever the morality, like rules that he established throughout his life, changes, you either agree or disagree with the changes, because the changes are not something you have learned. That's something you have to like either get used to or be against, and try to actually revert.
Comes from somewhere. If your morality comes from around you, you would agree with everybody that's there. You would agree with the government. You would agree with the law of the land. Where would you get?
Everyone has their own individuality.
Individuality has nothing to do with morals. Your personal.
It does, because your
What?
cells are formed from your personal experiences and from what you take in around you from the people around you.
Okay, but if you take it in from the people around you, then incest would be okay if everybody was doing it.
Wouldn't. If you personally didn't agree with it, it wouldn't be.
It's like, bro, listen, you have to like think about this, all right? Let's say you start a new game, right? A new game file, all right? You started the ripe age of a little baby, right? And throughout the world, everyone tells you red is blue. I'm just gonna go with the same analogy again, all right? Red is blue, all right? Red is blue, red is blue, and everyone thinks red is blue, right? And eventually, somehow someone decides that red isn't blue and blue is actually red, right? And for some reason, morality-wise, it's a better, or a worse thing to believe, then no, you will not start to call red blue. You still call blue red. Like it's not gonna just change just because someone or a lot of people around you suddenly just magically think it's okay. It's like let's say fucking know. Let's say cannibalism becomes like normalized, right? Let's say all of a sudden the government's like, all right, cannibalism is now illegal, all right? So people are gonna start killing each other and like eating each other, and it's gonna be a whole mess. But you grew up with the notion about, well, eating human flesh is weird and wrong, and you shouldn't do it, and you can get brain cancer from it, and you can literally die from it. So you wouldn't agree with it because you mentally know the side effects of this whole thing. So you still can decide whatever you think is right and wrong, but morality is based upon both things. It's about public's perception and how you think about something.
Like, if you want, like, I don't know why you're doing the argument a little incorrectly, but I know where you're trying to go. But the point is, like, the fact of the matter is, people will always have their own perspectives on things, unless, of course, you just follow what you are told 100% of the time. Like, for you, you're pushing back against the age of consent because you don't like being told that this is what it is based on this. You believe that, well, actually, there's a couple other extenuating circumstances in these cases.
That's not what I believe in. My belief comes from something that's consistent. It comes from the Islamic way. It comes from the Islamic way because nothing else makes sense. The Western way is always adapting, and now we allow people to change their genders, something that was admonishable only 10 years ago. See, you're following the ever-changing morality. Only 10 years ago, a man becoming a woman was a mental illness. It was something that was shamed upon. 10 years ago, if Chris Tyson was going on a Mr. Beast video and he was there dressed up like a girl, and he was saying that I'm taking puberty blockers, hormone blockers, everybody would admonish him. In a lot of places, he would be excommunicated. He would say, absolutely, I do not want kids to take hormone blockers and change themselves forever. But today, that's allowed. Today that's pushed. Today that's okay. And then everybody else kind of falls into suit. There are a small minority of people in the West, people that believe in God, they say that this is absolutely wrong, and then they get banned for it. You can't follow the people that are around you, the ever-changing morality.
You can't follow a line of questioning. You keep going off onto these tangents. Look, at the end of the day, man,
it's not a tangent.
You can believe whatever you want to believe, but the point is, people are always going.
No. You cannot believe just whatever you want to believe. You cannot.
You are doing.
If you believe bestiality is wrong, you should not be in society. If you believe incest is okay, you should not be within the community. You should be excommunicated. These are things there's some certain morality that should supersede the government. That should supersede something. The government should not.
The age of consent for you?
It's not the age of consent. It's
you should stay on topic here. Because
I'm staying on topic.
What you are doing is you are deflecting to other topics. You have still not directly said that you think it is a bad thing for an adult to marry a child. Like, you are still unable to say that. Now,
but you haven't even defined child.
Oh, he has said multiple fucking times. He defines child as under 18 years old. God damn, bro.
My definition.
He got the same reaction as me, bro. He was like, oh my god, this guy. I can't believe this guy. Oh, he's getting tired of him too. Holy shit. Also, we're matching whites. I just realized that.
Definition is anything under 18.
That's exactly what a child is.
Yeah, I think that is a great line in the sand. If you are under 18, you are a child.
It's not a great line in the sand. But that's not even the definition of child. You're going on.
Not everything that has a definition doesn't necessarily mean that that's specific thing. Okay? Because there's multiple like words with like different definitions that don't completely mean precisely what you say they mean.
Off of your own definition.
Though? Who cares?
Who cares?
Like, who cares? Yes, why? If 18 is the established point, you are out of high school going to college, if that is the point where everyone has agreed you're an adult past this point, why argue against it?
Why argue? Because if the government decides to push the age of high school, if they try to lower it, if they said that you can vote at a different age, then your morality changes based off of the law. And I'm saying that you need to have a consistent.
I mean, I don't think that's a bad point, because if they lowered the age of you being able to vote, I think anyone who pays taxes should be able to vote. And if you are not able to vote, you should not be paying taxes, because you don't have any control whatsoever about where those tax dollars or euros go towards. But meanwhile, you are working, you are contributing to society, so you should be able to be legally able to be voting. All right. But that's not the argument here at all. And he's deflecting his fucking argument again, bro. He has been doing this for nearly 30 fucking minutes. The same thing over the fucking parry, over and over and over again, bro. It's tiring. God damn.
Morality that does not change with the government, and that does not change with the people that live in your country. It has to supersede that. You can't just say because of high school, because of college, this is the set in stone age forever.
Okay, I want you, Sneeko, to set an age in stone right now for the age of consent, age of marriage. What is that to you?
I told you that there is no age of marriage. It has to be based off of maturity, and it has to be based off of whether it's going to be harmful, and it has to be based off the consent of the parents.
Okay, so maturity, a 6-year-old isn't mature, so that's already not due. All right, 12-year-old not mature, 16-year-old could be mature. Most of them aren't. 17, same ordeal. 18 could still be very immature. 19, 20, some people don't ever become mature. So this whole like idea about maturity is like the baseline on how whenever people should be able to be legally married. It's even worse than the age argument here.
It has to be healthy. If I want to marry a girl, I have to first ask her father. I have to ask her brother.
And the father's perfect. The father knows what's best for the child at all times.
And I have to ask her mother, and the daughter has to consent. If all 3 parties are consenting, and then my family's consenting, that's fine. That's what a marriage should be based upon. Okay.
All that happens, and it's a 14-year-old. Now what?
If the 14-year-old is mature, and I'm 16, say I went through puberty as well,
You're not 16,
and I'm 17 20s. Or I'm 18. See, the problem with this is that you have a specific idea of where the age is. But if I'm 17 and I'm mature, and
I mean, he's thinking about his own age group. That makes sense. Whenever you think about like age of consent, you are like, you're like thinking about, okay, so my age is this age, and it would be I think morally it would be wrong to be dating set age lower than me.
And I meet a 14, a 15-year-old, and I'm okay. I'm mature. My family's okay. I asked the daughter. I asked the daughter's father for the hand of marriage.
You're in your 20s.
I went on this already. I went on this already.
Does it change?
Your scenario earlier was if a 16 and a 21-year-old, if both parties were consent, if the father was okay with it, the mother was okay with it, why not? What? Give me a reason why that's. Tell me a reason why that's wrong. Because you're getting
a child. One is not a child. That's the point. So the 14-year-old, all of those criteria we just checked. You're in your 20s.
The definition that we just agreed upon, that's not true. Child is somebody that is not physically mature yet. It has nothing to do with 18. Not what
we agreed upon. We agreed upon 18.
You agreed. No, we didn't agree with that.
Agreed at 18.
That's not true. That's not true across the whole world.
Sensible people, even your own community has agreed upon 18 for the most part. So I've seen a lot of the tweets when you go on these tangents. Most people say it should be 18, and Sneeko's arguing that parts of the world are different, so it gets muddy. But the agreed upon for the majority of people is 18.
That's not true.
So
that's just not true across the world.
So.
Oh my days, bro. This guy is tiring. I'm not gonna lie.
You see when you argue against that, why it looks so weird. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand because people have been brainwashed with this. Let me ask you this: people in Europe,
brainwashing is concerning.
Okay, are people? So the majority of Europe is 16.
Also, how can he criticize Moist for believing that the law is a good standpoint to stand on this? But then your argument against that is, well, the world around has laws that are lower. You're literally arguing about that his age of consent rule, by following whatever the law says, is a ignorant thing. But then you go around like, well, the rest of the world thinks it's 16. Like, why would you even argue against his point then? You're literally doing the same goddamn thing.
Is everybody in Europe who abides by that, who abides by the law, are they pedophiles?
Yeah, in my
They
eyes,
are?
100%. And
Okay.
in European society, too.
Fine.
If you have someone in their 20s that is fucking and marrying a 16-year-old, they, too, are excommunicated.
No,
from
not excommunicated.
society, even though it's
Are they
technically
pedophiles?
legal.
I agree. I had a guy in my high school, and he was 16, I think, and eventually he like told us, "Yo, I got a girlfriend," and turned out she was 14. Long story short, we beat him up in the locker room and left him there.
Yeah, I would say yes.
They're pedophiles. Okay, so the majority of people that follow law in Europe are pedophiles according to Moist Critical.
If
Yes
they
or-
are
it's-
in
it's a
their,
yes
if
or
they
no?
are an adult fucking an under 18-year-old, even if it's 16 legally, I would say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And in America, the majority of the states, it's 16. Are those people who follow the law of the land, are they pedophiles for following the... So the majority...
You keep saying the law of the land.
That's what it is. The majority
It's
of
not.
states, it's 16.
So if I want you right now, Sneeko, if you go to any of those states where it's 16 and you fuck a 16-year-old, it's statutory rape. It is still statutory rape. It doesn't apply. That's not what that means.
Romeo,
That's
okay,
not how that
we
works.
went in circles. The Romeo and Juliet laws don't apply for most people. And even without that, even without the Romeo and Juliet laws, if it was 16 and all the countries that is 16, are those people pedophiles?
People with the type of stuff need
As
to
I
be
just said,
monitored.
yes.
Okay.
In those countries too.
Okay.
For real.
So, but do you realize what you're saying? What you were saying,
those countries,
most people who follow, what you're saying, based off this logic, most people in the world are pedophiles if they follow the law.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
If the law is under 18, I would say yes.
Okay. So, but that's not the law, because the most of the world, as we established, most of the world is not 18. So you're saying if the majority of the world follows the law and they exercise their rights, they do exactly what they're good citizens, and they follow the law where it's 16, you are saying the majority of the world contains pedophiles. Even if they don't even act upon it, even if they agree that, okay, one day, maybe I could, out of wedlock, I could fuck a 16-year-old.
Because those
just the thought.
But yes, if there is an adult, as I've said many times, if there is an adult, and I'm defining an adult as someone who is,
We know.
we'll go deeper. We'll make it even simpler. Your age. If there is someone that is your age and they are fucking a 16-year-old.
Why my age now? I thought it was 18.
Understand.
I thought it
Oh my days. Oh my days. I commend Moist Critical for getting through him, bro, because bro is tiring. Oh my days. We were trying to normalize it. That's the scary thing too. I don't know. I think the majority of the world agrees that 18 is a very suitable age.
was 18.
I just gave a number because you were.
But you gave a number earlier.
18.
You said 18.
18. Yeah, I was just trying to make it easier. 18. If there is an adult that is fucking a 16-year-old, even in a country where it says 16 is okay, then yes, absolutely. Now, in the case of the 18, 16-year-old, that's where Romeo and Juliet kicks in. But if it is someone in their 20s, in their 30s, fucking a 16-year-old, that is literally statutory rape in pretty much everywhere in the world.
Right. Based off your logic, you realize this, that if a 19-year-old has sex with a 17-year-old, they should go to jail. They're pedophiles.
That is Romeo and Juliet, and unless it's an 18, then yeah, wait till they're 18.
Okay, but a lot of states don't even have Romeo and Juliet. In Europe, they don't have that. The places, your Romeo and Juliet is an American thing. And in Europe, a lot of these places, if a 19-year-old has sex with a 17-year-old, your logic, they should go to jail. Is that true?
Yeah, I think it is absolutely going to be one of those things where there is an agreed upon age. If it's 18, it's 18.
So yes,
follow it.
a 19-year-old in a relationship with a 17-year-old should go to jail.
Well, no, okay. I guess, like I said, it will all depend on where that is located. So to give an example, Call Me Carson and that, I think it was a 17-year-old, I think he was 19 and 17. Like, that could be a high school relationship. And I don't remember where that took place, but the big problem there is apparently he was getting nudes. That's child porn.
Oh god. Oh, this whole argument is going nowhere, bro. It's been 33 minutes and they have I literally just been deflecting everything, man.
Like, that's a huge issue. 19 and 17, that's only a 2-year age gap. So that is applicable under things like Romeo and Juliet. So even if it is under 18 in the place you come from, that's an extenuating circumstance. But that's not what we're talking about. You keep bringing it back down to reasonable places. But what you argue for is things like when you legally can drive, you can legally get married and have sex.
Yes, when you are physically mature, when you're ready to drive a car, you should be able to.
15 years old, bro? Come on. You know what I did as a 15-year-old? Come on, bro. Come on. No.
There's a lot of people that have jobs that need to do things. A lot of people aren't ready to drive cars. They're not physically, they're not mentally mature yet to drive a car. They shouldn't drive a car at 16. It should be based off maturity. The same thing has to do with sex.
Yeah, but how do you scale maturity? There's no way, unless you do a brain scan, to know how mature someone is. Like, are you gonna argue that people need to do a brain scan before someone can, you know, determine if they're mature for stuff yet? Like, because if you're gonna argue that, then some people with like mental deficits, they will never be mature. They'll never reach that standpoint, and they will be labeled as a child their entire goddamn life, even though they can be a functional adult that should be able to drive, to be able to get a job, and just do any other adult thing.
The reason I keep saying this is because you have these set in stone numbers, and if you were to lay the law of the land, if we follow your laws, if we follow your criteria, a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, he's consenting, she's consenting, the parents are happy, they're happy, they want to get married, they're ready to go, you're putting them in jail. That doesn't make any sense. Because of this,
Romeo and Juliet kicks in. Like, I don't know what's hard to understand about that. Places where that doesn't exist, I guess I'm not too familiar with how those. A lot of places they don't. A lot of places they don't. And this is why it's arbitrary. So where, and based off your standards, when is the Romeo and Juliet? How long can that extend? Those are teenagers. A 17 and a 19-year-old, those are both teenagers.
Okay, now they're teenagers, but you just said 18 was an adult.
Yes, they are.
You see how the definitions keep changing? They keep changing so far in this conversation.
Oh, but he already said that he's like arguing with like these semi-reasonable like exceptions, bro. Come on, keep up.
Conversation, you changed it so many times. You said 18's an adult. No, you said, but listen, because you did. I heard you double up a couple times. I know
what you're gonna harp on here.
No, you did. You said 18's an adult, and then you said adults like you. Because you think 25 is an adult now. Because that's when you're. Why? So why is it? Let me ask you this. Why is it not 20? Why is it not 25?
It's because that's not what was established. Like,
no, I'm asking you because you believe in personal beliefs. I believe in some. My morality comes from the Quran. You believe in personal beliefs. Why is it not 25? 25 is when the frontal cortex is fully developed. That's when you're done maturing.
I couldn't tell you why it's not 25. I have no clue. I don't know why the drinking age is 21. I don't know. But they are agreed upon rules.
They're agreed upon rules, just like the drinking age, just like the voting age. They're agreed upon rules, and a lot of them don't make any sense. Why is drinking 21?
But I do think 18 does. There is.
Bro is like saying this like medical professionals has been studied like extensively to make these rules, bro. They didn't just think, oh, well, you know what? 18, yeah, they can drive, they can do this, they can do that. Why? Well, because I think so. Like, no, they did definitely like studies, like seeing how like young adults think and like how their brain activity works and stuff like that. They didn't just willy-nilly picked out a fucking age out of a fucking hat and they're like, oh, would you look at that, 18, like.
There's a good reason for it. You are out of high school. You are going to live on your own. You're going to college. I think that is a good reason.
Yeah, maybe in the 1980s, but nowadays people don't leave the house until 24, 25, until they're my age. A lot of people don't. People are not financially ready. People are still immature. There's 18-year-olds I know that are more mature than people my age, and there's 25-year-olds that are more immature than 18-year-olds. It's arbitrary now. It depends on personal experience. It depends on individual maturity.
But there needs to be something defined in your rule here.
And I'm saying there is something defined. I'm saying there is.
A 14-year-old in your definition could literally marry an adult. That's a problem. In your world, a 14-year-old can marry an adult.
Yeah, in my world, two 14-year-olds could be adults. I'm telling you, the only
see why that's weird.
Two 14-year-olds. You don't think that two 14-year-olds could be married?
No. What the fuck? No, come on, bro. Please. Oh, God, bro. Why?
No, absolutely not.
No?
No, under no circumstances do I think two 14-year-olds can marry.
Can two 16-year-olds?
Let alone a 14 and a 20-year-old or whatever.
Okay, can two 16-year-olds be married?
No, I don't think two 16-year-olds.
Why is it wrong if so a 16-year-old, because the age of consent is across the world, so many places 16, if they can go have frivolous sex with a lot of people, if they can go fuck around, if they can do deviant things, if they can change their gender, why can they not get married? Sex change, like Chris from Mr. Beast, these people could take hormone blockers.
Listen, so much.
You're not listening. This is the point. You could take hormone blockers. You could take puberty blockers. Okay, when you're a child. When you're 16, you can go change your gender, but you can't get married. Why is that?
That's a good point. That's a very, very good point. Because why do you think 16-year-olds are not mature enough to marry, but they are mature enough to biologically change their biological makeup in like a major, significant, life-altering way?
What that's I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty obvious question.
No, it's not. It's not. See, if you cut your penis off, like Chris and Mr. Beast, if you cut your penis off, that is a life-altering decision. You can't glue it back on. You can get divorced if you get married.
Correct.
This is a commitment that you're taking. A child, based off the liberal point of view that you believe in, they can have gender surgery. They can change forever.
Oh, Discord fucking up.
He lagged out.
Always Discord, man. Goddamn. People pay for this shit. Actually insane.
One sec. I don't want to miss this line of questions. Are you good? Can you turn your camera on and off? Oh no, you're good. You're good. Okay.
Wait. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you're good. If somebody can have, okay, do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting.
Oh no, no! What are you doing? What are you doing? You're using the same argument. You're using the same argument you literally were arguing against. Oh, come on, bro. Please. Oh, come on. No. Oh, no. All his arguments are gonna just be nothing, man, because he used the same argument that he's arguing against. Oh, my days, man.
You agree with.
Okay, so as long as everyone...
If your parents are okay with it and you are okay with it, I think that's totally a familial decision to make, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is hilarious, bro.
Okay, so a child can cut their penis off and take hormone blockers and change their biology forever, but they can't get married?
Oh, that's a decision that now extends beyond the family, because now you're bringing in a different party. So if you
What? What? Oh. Oh, bro. What?
you have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child, yep, I don't think that can happen under any circumstance.
So,
no.
But it's still a personal decision. You're still deciding.
Because there's
take the other party out of the equation. It's a personal decision. If I'm 16 and I personally want to marry this girl, she's beautiful. She's 21 years old. Her family wants to do it. My family wants to do it. You're saying I can't do that. We're both consenting. I'm ready to go. I'm physically mature, but I'm not allowed to marry because Moy says that woman's a pedophile. But if then the next day I leave it, I'm depressed, I want to cut my penis off, I can go right into the clinic, snip it off, and start taking HRT like Chris Tyson. That's a society that makes sense to you?
HRT? What the fuck? HRT are what? No, HRT is for fucking testosterone, no? Hold on. HRT. Because that's what bodybuilders use. Hormone replacement therapy. Oh, it's a pretty broad spectrum, actually. Okay. I thought it was just only for, what you call it? Like, testosterone, stuff. Injections are usually best given weekly. That was testosterone, yeah. Okay. Restoring hormonal balance primarily for addressing testosterone imbalances. HRT. Okay. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was only I thought it was like a male female thing. But HRT is just hormone replacement therapy. Okay.
It is. I believe everyone has complete. Yep. I believe everyone has the right to do with their body what they want to do.
Okay, but so everyone has the right to do with their body, but not when it comes to a sacred marriage where they have kids, where they add to society.
That's no longer just you.
That is your body.
Bringing someone in.
Okay, you're still bringing in the doctor to use the scissors to snip off your penis.
He's not there for the rest of your life. He's not constantly there at your fucking house.
Imagine the doctor just being there 24/7 in your house.
Monitoring you.
You don't need to be there. You're not glued to your wife. You're not there like Siamese twins. You
are a 16-year-old. You are entirely reliant on this adult that you've now brought in.
No, you're not. You can tell parents, maybe I'm making my own money. I'm not relying. If I'm 16 and I marry a 21-year-old and I'm making a lot of money and I'm doing well and I'm independent, I'm not relying upon her. Not only that, the person that you just put through transgender therapy, now they need to go to therapy once a week. Now they need to go to the pharmacist once a week. Look how many people are involved now. Now they're going to therapy groups. Now they're online. They're making YouTube videos. They're in a Mr. Beast challenge. This person is relying on so many people, and they also have. You're cutting out again.
Bro's leg switching.
Chad, is it me or him?
It's him.
Mine's fine. My stream's running flagging it all.
Just refreshed your cam and it fixed it.
No, I left the call and join again. But I don't want to leave this point.
Okay.
Why? I want to hear a clear answer that makes sense. Because you said it's because you're relying on other people. But I've established that a trans person is relying on the pharmacist, is relying on the therapy.
I didn't say that. I didn't say relying. I said you are making a personal decision yourself.
I mean, I think marriage is also a personal decision. And both parties are gonna make this personal decision about wanting to marry. And then they make a compromise or a agreement between these two independent people to be a couple, to get married, right? So I don't see like I said, I'm not rooting for whatever cause Nico is rooting for here, but I'm also not rooting for what big old Moist Critical is talking about here. I think both are just not done. Okay, hormone replacement therapy should not be on children. It should be on consenting adults, which like he said, like Charlie said, 18 plus, and same with the marriage, 18 plus. Both should be 18 plus, arguably 20 plus, but that's not on me. So. But if it was on me, 20 is definitely the limit. It's the bare minimum.
You are making a decision for you. When you are making a decision about marriage, you're bringing someone else in that is now not just you.
Just because you're bringing someone else in does not change the fact that it's a personal decision. Marriage is it's consent. It is deciding yes, regardless of the other person. But it's still a personal decision.
Can't possibly wrap their head around this adult that has been preying on them. Like, I don't know why you can't see that. A 16-year-old can't be making this decision on this adult who is convincing them that I am the right choice for you for life.
Right.
This argument's not gonna work because we are in the firm believing that a child shouldn't be able or isn't able to make a decision about HRT. So you can argue this to the moon and back. We are not gonna agree with that.
But a 9-year-old boy can go into a clinic and decide that doctor, that 40-year-old doctor, can cut my penis off?
If that's a decision he and his family wants to make.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous take. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
not bother me. It
Okay.
absolutely does not bother me.
Okay. So then, why is it that bringing someone else into that marriage, why does that then make it wrong?
Because it could be an adult with a child, which is that is an unacceptable dynamic under every possible circumstance.
Yeah, this is what I mean, man. This argument doesn't work because you're already arguing for something that we also already think is unacceptable.
Doctor's office in that gender therapy forever, it's still an adult and a child cutting off the penis, Moist.
That you don't.
Yeah, but you could argue the doctor is, he's a medical professional, so he's literally doing his job. He's not like emotionally connected to this child in any sort of way. But it's still weird. It's very, very weird. Just like circumcision, I think those are also weird. I don't think any doctor, or any religion or anything, someone can just decide to do whatever to a child's body without their consent. And even if they consent, some things shouldn't just be done. All right, any mutilation that is not life saving is not done, in my opinion.
You are not living with that fucking doctor. You have made a decision.
You're living with the decision of that doctor to cut the penis off. It's still living with the decision of another person too.
And that's life. You live with decisions. Some people might regret it, sure. But within this marriage with an adult, that is a decision that is now, once they are in your life, it can be out of your hands. You can have this adult come in and just start beating the shit out of you. You can have all kinds of things. When you're with getting your penis cut off, you have made a decision.
Okay, wait, you're saying you can get beat up? You can still get beat up out of marriage.
You absolutely can. But a child is never going to be thinking about things like that because they can't. A child can't consent to marrying an adult.
So why is a child smart enough to decide that he's now a woman that needs puberty blockers and cutting his penis off, but he can't decide upon marrying somebody that he's in love with?
How does he know he's in love with them?
How does he know he's a woman? Oh, bro, it doesn't work. Oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're arguing the same just the same like mind of a child that can't make both decisions. Both decisions are unable to be made by a child. They do not have the cognitive abilities to comprehend what these decisions entail. Like, it's just, like I said, you can argue this from here back to the fucking moon. It doesn't fucking work, man. It just doesn't work, because your argument is this child can consent to mutilating their bodies, to permanently altering their DNA, and hormones or whatever. Not DNA, hormones. But they can't consent to a loving relationship with an older person. You see how that makes sense? It doesn't. That's why it doesn't make. That's why you don't see it, because it doesn't. Both don't make sense.
The same. It's a feeling. It's something that you know. You talk to your family. You decide. How does a child
being in love with an adult?
Yes, I talk to
a sensible family.
Yes, I'm 16. I meet a 21-year-old woman. I say, "Mom, Dad, I'm in love with this girl. I want to marry her. I feel like I'm in love. She's the right person for me. I want to do it." She's like, "Yes, yes, yes." Everyone's good. But a 9-year-old could say, "Mom, Dad, I want to cut my penis off," and you're gonna say that's good. But a 16-year-old who feels in love, who's ready to commit, who's financially independent, that person cannot get married.
I'm gonna say no, and. I don't agree with Sneako's point whatsoever, but I also just don't agree with his points. Both of these points are ridiculous, bro.
A 16-year-old will never be financially independent, A, and B.
Oh, you should see my whole team.
Yes,
you know how many? Do you know how many people that I work with that are financially ready?
You work with a lot of 16-year-olds?
Yes, I do.
Financially ready?
I work with the person who runs my Telegram. I have clippers. I have a lot of teenagers who are making more than my professors. They are ready. They're mentally, these people are mature. They're boxing every single day. They are more mature than a lot of the 24-year-olds I know that I went to school with that are still in their hometown doing nothing, eating popcorn every day, and cutting their dick off like you believe. These people are ready to go because maturity changes for different people. For you to decide that a kid could cut his penis off but he can't get married makes absolutely no sense, and that's a society that crumbles. That's a society that allows then that's your incest.
The society that flourishes is the one where a 14-year-old can marry someone in their 20s, Sneeko. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Marriage is how society progresses because you need to create more life. Marriage, children should only be within a marriage. They should only be conceived within a marriage where they're not going around sleeping with different people, where they're not confused, where they're
I'm sorry, bro. When I get born and my father is 15 years old, or God forbid, my mother. Oh my days, bro. You realize that, right? You realize that if you are like at the ripe age of going to, like, let's say not middle school. You go to high school at around, like, I don't know, age 12, right? Your mother or your father at that age is going to be fucking 15 years older than you. That's ridiculous.
they're not a part of the community that has the highest suicide rate. They should not be a part of that. I want to be in a society full of happy married people that are ready to have children, that are God-fearing.
Those happy married people are sometimes, in your world, 14, 15, 16 years old.
Absolutely. If they are ready,
That's so fucked
if they are
up,
ready
Why
to
do
get
I
married
see
to,
that?
but see, you're so hung up on the fact that it could be an older person. Okay, if a 16-year-old is fine. What if a 16-year-old Moise meets another 16-year-old in a place?
We've already gone over that.
Okay, if 16 in a place where the age of consent is 16, which is most of the country, right? Let's go off that. There's no Romeo and Juliet laws. Two 16-year-olds meet. They want to fuck. Can they do that?
In a place where the age of consent is 16, if it's two 16-year-olds, yeah, absolutely.
Can they get married?
That's never what we've been talking about.
Can they get married?
If it's legal for them to marry at 16, sure they can.
No, it's not.
That's
In
fine.
America, you have to be 18 to get married.
Then wait. Then they should wait.
Okay,
yeah.
so they're both pedophiles?
God, Sneeko. Oh, God, Sneeko, bro. Come on, man. How are you doing, bro? I'm exhausted. This is tiring. Oh, my days.
What the fuck? No, there's no adult in that situation. They're both the same age.
The point that, see, this is where it goes back. The point I'm making is that you cannot follow the law. You cannot rely upon the government on these arbitrary numbers. The reason you believe in 18 is because you live in America right now where the age is 18. If you lived
But you do too, though.
No, I don't.
You just said it. You wouldn't. So you don't believe it's at 18. So you're gonna go fuck a 15.
This is not my personal preference, Moise. It has nothing to do with my personal preference.
Well, answer that question. You just said you don't. Are you gonna go fuck a 15-year-old in a place where you can?
That is not my. I don't want to have.
Just say yes or no. Just
He already answered this. He already said no. Personally, no.
No, I do not have sex out of wedlock. I've repeated this before. My point is,
had plenty of sex out of wedlock. When you were sexually active, would you have gone and fucked a 15-year-old?
absolutely not.
Okay, so then you two also still abide by
Because
it.
we believe in abiding the laws of we don't break the law, but you're applying the law of the land to morality, and that's where things get confused because morality is not defined based off the government. If we followed morality,
There's plenty of
listen,
situations
if
where-
we followed morality defined based off the government, then we would say that the war that's happening in Israel and Palestine is justified because the government is sending billions of dollars there. You cannot rely on the government upon that because the government can be flawed. Morality does not come from these people that are elected.
Absolutely.
Morality comes from God. That's the only place that it can come from. Because if you were around, if you follow your logic, if you were around people, all of them, that thought what incest was okay, that thought bestiality was okay, you would follow it because you follow the people that are around. That's the only reason you believe 18. Because that's what you see in Hollywood movies. Because that's what the government told you as an adult. Not because it's something a
It
personal...
is the agreed upon age. There's just,
but you keep
if they
saying
wanna
that
change
it's
it,
not
they
even
just go
agreed.
up.
It's that's
fine, but it
not
should
even
never go down.
That's not true. Well, it's not
It
even.
shouldn't go down.
It's not even agreed upon. And nowhere.
It is. It is though. Most people, if you right now, have you had sex with a 16-year-old as an adult, Sneeko?
No, I have not.
Okay. If you did, how do you think people would respond to it, even in your own community? If you said that you had sex with a 16-year-old?
They would be completely disgusted.
Exactly, because most people agree at a certain level needs to be established, and that level is 18. So under no circumstances should a
Okay.
14, 15, 16-year-old be getting
Sure.
married and having sex with an adult.
Okay, let's go to the Dr. Disrespect situation because there was a lot of hypocrisy, right? He would message a 17-year-old. If you...
That's not true. There's
What? What? It's going back and forth and it just doesn't work. Nothing works. Nothing is getting talked about. It's 50 minutes of nothing, bro. 50 minutes of nothing. And the only thing that happened is Moist Critical agrees to like that kids can mutilate their bodies just because they feel like they are the wrong gender, and Sneeko thinks it's totally okay to be 15 years old and getting married with someone that's older. It's like 20 plus. Like, oh my days, bro. They're just digging each other's grave, bro. They're just digging each other's grave. Like, this is insane.
Show me the evidence of him messaging.
I haven't seen any evidence. See, all the streamers all the streamers within your community, they were so quick to admonish Dr. Disrespect without seeing any evidence at all. We saw Chris Tyson, and then they waited 3 days like you to post a video.
I did it within like 6 hours.
No, you didn't. If you
I did.
Okay, if you
What
decided,
are you talking about? The full video came out less than 24 hours after the initial break of all of the information, and I had that first video go.
how long did it take for the Dr. Disrespect video to come out?
Over 24 hours.
Did it? How long did it take for you to tweet?
And in the first
How
video,
long did it take for you to tweet,
times
though?
how there's no concrete evidence of who he was talking to.
How long did it take for you to tweet?
I waited till his second response, so that was 3 days later.
It was 3 days that you didn't tweet right away?
Nope.
Okay, then you were the outlier, and most streamers, all of them, they waited. They didn't say anything. They wanted the Mr. Beast collab, but that's besides the point. Moist Critical, if you DM'd a girl that was 17 years old, 364 days, should everybody be disgusting with you?
I think that would
Yes.
be pretty disgusting. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think you should be communicating with someone under 18, no matter what.
Okay,
If you want to,
it's not. Is that disgusting?
I don't know if that is. It depends on what kind of communication you have.
yeah, I think it's disgusting.
You wait a day.
Like
Is it-
Cody Ko having sex with Hannah when she's 17, I think that's disgusting.
Okay, say she's 17 years old, 364 days. He waits one more day. Is he still disgusting?
I still think in that position, yeah, I think that's still a huge power dynamic issue that you're getting into with that one. But
A power dynamic? Are you kidding me, bro? So even waiting on the law indicated age is still wrong. Because 1 day is a huge difference, right?
Bro, wait.
Go ahead.
That's disgusting. But I thought you said 18 was an adult.
well, yeah, it is. Like,
It
you're
is?
not going to jail. But I
Okay,
do
so
still find that
now it's disgusting for two adults to have sex?
It's disgusting for someone to be using this kind of position in the example you're giving. That's a power dynamic issue.
But so Cody Ko waits one more day, then they have sex, and he's still disgusting. But it's two adults. Why is that disgusting?
People are still, like, I would be upset hearing that. Cody Ko was in a different position than Tana at the time, and he was also in a much different place. And even if he waited till 18, while it's not illegal, it still wouldn't be a good thing. It's not something to celebrate.
Not celebrate, but you think it's disgusting. You think it's reprehensible.
I think it would be a bad thing, for sure. Yeah, I don't think it would be a good thing.
Is he a pedophile?
Yeah, but he's not arguing that the fact that they had sex. He's arguing that there's a power dynamic between the two, which I don't know. It's like shoot, my brain's just getting fried by this fucking whole debate. Listen. Power dynamic, okay, I get it. That's weird. I totally understand. But that's what he's arguing about. He's not arguing about whether two adults having sex is weird.
Pedophile.
No.
No, he would not be a pedophile.
Okay.
And I also...
Okay, he's not a pedophile. The day before, 17, 364 days. Is he a pedophile?
No.
No, I
Legally he is. Morally, in my opinion, no.
think yes.
Yes?
Let's just use, we're going to use a agreed
Okay.
upon definition. If you don't
Yes.
wait till 18, you will...
Yeah, but when you wait till 18, somehow it's still grooming. Somehow it's still power dynamics. Somehow it's still wrong. So in this argument, you can't be right. You can't do the right thing. So unless you are, let's say 19 years old, 20 years old, and you meet this girl and she's all, let's say half, like she needs like three more months that she's 18, right? If you wait on that, that's weird. So you just completely should just give up on this woman and find someone that is the exact age of consent as of the moment you meet them. Do you see how weird that sounds? Like,
We'll just do pedophile.
There you go.
People like to argue a beefophile or whatever it's called, but let's just say if you fuck someone under 18, you are
a pedophile. You are a pedophile.
Yeah.
So this is just like the word misogynistic. I get called a misogynistic all the time, right? I was just in France recently, and there was a girl literally massaging my head. She's 27 years old. She's massaging my hair, standing on the street, and a soy boy comes up to me with earrings. He says, "I hate you. You're a misogynist." He says, "I hate you," and he doesn't know. And I ask him like, "What does misogynist mean?" He doesn't know. Right? The same reason that
Oh no, he met an NPC on the streets.
your definition of pedophile does not even follow the actual definition of the word is the same thing when people throw around the term misogynist and they don't know what it means. That's what happens when you get to throw
As
around.
I just said, I know it's not the definition of the word, but we're just using terms so we can all be on the same
Okay,
page.
but words have meanings for a reason. You can't just make up a definition
It's
of a word.
beefophile. If you have sex with someone under 18 but over 12, you're a beefophile or whatever it's called.
Okay, so he's not a pedophile anymore. You just change it. So now he's a beebophile?
Well, I'd still use just that word. It's bad. Yeah, if you are having sex with like a 16, 17-year-old, it's bad pedophile behavior.
Okay, so it's not it's not a beebophile anymore. It's a pedophile.
Oh my god.
You're talking about terms. The correct term is a beefophile.
I want to figure out
It's
because
stupid.
Moise, we can't have a discussion if we don't define terms.
Yeah, but whenever he defines terms, you don't agree with them because you think they're arbitrary and you think they're not solid in logic. And you think that he's just following the government and doesn't have any moral code whatsoever. Like, you can't win with this dude, bro. Oh, I heard people say that he debated him under the table, but no, he's just making him tired, man. He just keeps parrying them every single time. God, it's so frustrating.
You were the one that immediately got mad that I used pedophile incorrectly to just do a blanket term for
Exactly.
under 18.
I didn't get mad, but I'm pointing out if we define a term and then you change the definition of the term within the conversation, then the conversation
I'm not
makes
changing the term. You got upset because it's not the strict definition of pedophile. It is someone that hasn't gone through puberty, but we're using just this term to refer to anyone under 18.
Okay, so we're
But
using
you were upset
words.
it wasn't a textbook definition.
So we're using words, and we don't care about their meaning anymore.
You're doing the same.
He literally just explained that there was a different term. There's like, I think 2 or 3 different terms for a pedophile, depending on what age bracket the child is in. Ugh. Oh. Oh man.
Same thing.
No, I'm following. I'm not trying to do a gotcha. I'm following your line of logic. We're using a word. So Cody Co's a pedophile based off your logic. Cody Co's a pedophile even though he's not a pedophile.
We're using that term, yeah. He had sex with a 17-year-old.
It's not. We're not just using. We're not using the term. It's either.
It's statutory rape. It's statutory rape.
That's not what I'm not talking about. Statutory. I'm asking you if is he.
That's the legal term. It's statutory rape. Having sex with a 17-year-old after you're an adult.
So you change the term again. It was first beebophile, now pedophile, now statutory rape. Which one?
Oh, what? I don't even remember what he's arguing here, man.
See, the reason that I'm having this discussion with you is you can't use arbitrary words that have no meaning to apply to somebody because that's how you cancel somebody. That's how you just say things around and that's how you get to shame somebody, ruin their reputation. And that's when words lose all meaning. And if we lose the meaning of words, then society makes no sense. Then nothing makes any sense. Then kids can cut their dicks off. You know, Moise.
He just literally went on a more in-depth explanation that there are, in theory, more different terms for pedophilia, but he doesn't care because all of them are weird. So he's just gonna combine all of them. He's just gonna call all of them pedophiles, regardless of whatever official term it actually is. So no, he actually gives a fuck about meaning because he literally just explains clear cut that there are different terms for different age brackets for pedophiles, but he doesn't want to use them because it is already weird enough. We don't need different terms. We don't have to differentiate between these weird people. All right, it's like saying, oh, well, this person killed someone with a knife and this one with a gun. No, they're both murderers. Okay? It's that simple.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. You need to have words need to have meanings, or else everything crumbles. Or else the very fabric of society does not make sense if we're using words that don't have meaning.
We are. Age of consent has meaning. It's 18, and you are the one that's trying to redefine it.
You're going back. You just said that he's a pedophile, but he's not a pedophile. It's statutory rape. He's a pedophile.
Dodging what I'm saying.
But I'm not dodging. I'm not dodging. You're calling him a pedophile because it fits, but he's not, because it's a bad word, because it's morally bad. But he's not a pedophile because it's this day.
No.
The words you're using do not make sense.
You talk in circles.
I'm not talking in circles.
You wanted one term to encompass what I believe under 18. And since I used pedophile and it's not the textbook definition, I said the textbook one would be a bebophile, or statutory rape is the charge of what it would be. It's a crime.
Where even is my phone?
Do words need to have definitions?
Yes, and so does the age of consent.
Mm-hmm. When we use the English language,
they're gonna
should the
argue in
words that we
circles. I'll be
use
right
match
back.
the definition of the word?
Yes.
Yes, you're not doing that.
What? Neither. What? You don't. What? Statutory rape. Then we won't use colloquialism.
There you go.
It's statutory rape.
Within this conversation, you changed.
Statutory rape.
Cody Ko is no longer a pedophile. He's a statutory rapist. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is he a bebophile still, or just a statutory rapist?
Statutory rape.
Okay, so he's not a bebophile.
No, we won't use that term.
It's not we won't. You're saying we won't use because you're operating within a bubble of cancel culture. Do you need to?
No, it's not cancel culture. It's just, it's a 17. Do you think him fucking a 17-year-old's a big deal?
No, I don't. I think it's bad. I don't think he should have sex out of wedlock. I don't think that's something to be, I don't think that's like incredible. I don't think that's but do I think that like she was, I think she was physically mature. I don't think that she was like traumatized from it. I think she's clout chasing going at every single podcast. Do I think that he's a pedophile? No. She looked like she was mature. She looked like she definitely went through puberty, definitely wasn't the first person she had sex with, and maybe it was in a state where the age was 16. So legally based off the definition, no. Morally based off the definition, no. It was in Florida, so isn't it, what is the age of there, 17?
18.
You sure?
I'm almost positive.
See, you don't even know. So now you're trying to think, wait, is he a pedophile or not? It's either she's a child or she's not. These are very simple definitions that we need to follow. And if we follow, you're Googling it, if we follow your line of thinking, that's when things get crazy. That's when kids can cut their penises off. That's when I'm a woman right now.
Kids can marry at 14 and 15 in your ideal world.
You know what's so silly about the situation is when you talked about Chris Tyson, did you see the #1 viral clip I saw? And I know you saw it. Did you see it?
Which one?
People were getting angry at you that you misgendered Chris Tyson.
I didn't misgender anybody though. I only referred to Ava by her name.
I heard that. I heard
misgendering.
I saw the clip that went viral. It was they.
Well, yeah, I used they, but I only used her name, and I used they when referring to most people in general. I say they a lot. And when I was at the Mr. Beast thing, Ava was referred to by they, by one of the staff, so I just played it safe and said Ava.
Still,
and I didn't want to
about,
offend anybody because I am not transphobic. Like, I never have been. I don't have hate in my heart.
They're calling you transphobic.
I know.
The people that live within your frame of thinking, the Western civilization mind, that hive mind, they're calling you a transphobe now for calling Chris pedophile Tyson a they. What do you think about that?
What?
It hurts. I don't like to see it, but it is what it is. I should have looked into the preferred when referring.
I heard that. I heard
gendering.
I saw getting
positive.
See,
what happened when I was gone, bro?
No, she looked like she was mature. She looked like she definitely went through puberty, definitely wasn't the first person she had sex with, and maybe it was in a state where the age was 16. So legally based off the definition, no. Morally based off the definition, no. It was in Florida, so isn't it, what is the age of there, 17?
18.
You sure?
I'm almost positive.
See, you don't even know. So now you're trying to think, wait, is he a pedophile or not? It's either she's a child or she's not. These are very simple definitions that we need to follow. And if we follow, you're Googling it, if we follow your line of thinking, that's when things get crazy. That's when kids can cut their penises off. That's when I'm a woman right now.
Kids can marry at 14 and 15 in your ideal world.
You know what's so silly about the situation is when you talked about Chris Tyson, did you see the #1 viral clip I saw? And I know you saw it. Did you see it?
Which one?
People were getting angry at you that you misgendered Chris Tyson.
I didn't misgender anybody though. I only referred to Ava by her name.
I heard that. I heard
misgendering.
I saw the clip that went viral. It was they.
Well, yeah, I used they, but I only used her name, and I used they when referring to most people in general. I say they a lot. And when I was at the Mr. Beast thing, Ava was referred to by they by one of the staff, so I just played it safe and said Ava, and I didn't want to offend anybody because I am not transphobic.
Yeah, you don't want to be in these people's good corners, bro. Because whenever you think you are in their good corners, you say one thing wrong, you do one thing wrong, that they think is a fucking crime, they will ostracize you out of the community. Will call you all sorts of names and terms that they've made up to make themselves more victims, and overall, just they are incredible, pathetic losers that just can't socialize with people, and they are mentally just deranged in so many factors.
Like I never have been. I don't have hate in my heart.
They're calling you transphobic.
I know.
The people that live within your frame of thinking, the Western civilization mind, that hive mind, they're calling you a transphobe now for calling Chris pedophile Tyson a they. What do you think about that?
It hurts. I don't like to see it, but it is what it is. I should have looked into the preferred pronouns more. I just made an assumption that we'll just be safe and use Ava's name. Like that's think to go beyond that.
That points out the problem, the flaw of thinking of Western civilization, this liberal mind. When somebody gets exposed for messaging children and saying like this guy was exposed for liking lolly porn.
Dr. Disrespect.
Yeah, Dr. Respect, that's the same thing. What he did was wrong. Both are wrong.
You defended him, though.
No,
and
I didn't.
You still, even in this conversation.
I never defended Dr. Respect, never. What did I say that defended him? What I said was I'm pointing out the flaw. Everybody's so quick to hate him, but then Chris Tyson comes along and all those people are silent.
No,
right?
Even before.
No. I never defended him. No, I never defended him. What he's doing is wrong. He's a married man. He shouldn't be doing that. I said that he should not be doing that, and what he did was wrong.
But you said that the 17-year-old thing is not a big deal at all.
Yeah, I don't.
You made up.
It's not. It's not.
But
it's bad. He should not. He should not do it. Does that make him a pedophile? No. My point is, Chris Tyson, what he does is absolutely wrong. Like what Dr. Disrespect is wrong. The point is, Chris Tyson gets exposed for messaging actual children, and the woke mob that you're controlled by, they get mad at you for misgendering instead of the fact that this guy is actually messaging children. This is the world that we live in now. You do a video condemning a pedophile, an actual pedophile, and instead of talking about that, they focus, and the clip that goes viral is Moist Critical misgenders Chris Tyson the pedophile. Insanity world. You can't follow the ever-changing morality of the West, because then it's misgendering is going to be canceled. And it's on Twitch, you can't even misgender. You can't say there's two genders on Twitch on the platform you're on. That's the reason you're not streaming right now. This is the problem. You need to have consistent morality. I just wanted
to have a conversation with you again. That's all. I wasn't going to stream it or anything.
I know, but I'm saying this conversation. If you
you just said that's why I wasn't, but.
Well, if you had this conversation on Twitch, you would get in trouble. The point is, if the ever-changing rules of this Western thing where they keep adapting, love is love, first it's gays, then it's LGBT, then it's LGBTQIA, and then it's just accept them, and then it's cut their penises off, and then it's take hormones, and then it's kids can take hormones, and then it's kids can cut their dicks off, and then they're parading through the streets, and then they're waving their dicks out in the park in public.
We can do this same song and dance with your ideal world too. You're not setting anything defined. Your age of maturity is not a number. You haven't put a number on it. That leads to the same thing. Well, all of a sudden, it's okay for a 14-year-old to marry a 16-year-old. Well, why is it okay for that, but not a 12-year-old to marry a 16-year-old? Like, you can keep.
I am drawing a line, but what you're not understanding is
What's the line? What's the line? What's the number?
Maturity. It's not a number.
That's not a
What is the
line.
number? What is the number? It needs to be a number, or else you can do the same thing.
I just told you there's not a number.
But do you see why that's a problem?
No.
If there's no defined. So why can't a 12-year-old marry an 18-year-old?
Because most 12-year-olds haven't gone through puberty yet. And most 12-year-olds...
What if, as you just said, it changes. What if a 12-year-old went through puberty early, the parents consent, the 18-year-old and the parents consent? Can they do it?
Most likely that's not going to happen. You know why? Because Islamically,
well,
if
we're not talking most likely, just say it. Can they do it?
If there's harm involved...
Is there a point of
then it's not going to happen.
the rest?
How do you know there's harm involved? You wouldn't know until it happens.
Following something that you don't believe in.
The question is, the answer is no.
You're not seeing it clearly.
You know that because it's not good to do that. That 14-year-old in that society might want to be with the bad
off world. I get angry. When I'm here, when I'm around my people, I was in the Masjid today, it was Juma prayer, I went to Hagia Sophia. When I'm around Muslims, I'm not a contrarian. I agree with them. I really can't talk them about a Galan. Okay, it's fine. But yeah. it's important to talk to cancel people like this because you have access to the biggest platform. And again,
I'm always willing to talk to people.
Word.
And you're totally welcome to have that belief. And then the way you just looked at Jinxie, you take the most uncharitable, most vitriolic approach to interpreting how people respond to things because you look at people in a negative way.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You're
I
saying
saw he posted
tears.
a crocodile tear on TikTok. He posted a Snapchat. He posted a YouTube video. He cried on Twitch. Everywhere he could sketch, like there was on every single social media.
His best friend was getting attacked by everyone else until people were willing.
All right, well that was the whole debate, bro. Listen, I'm definitely gonna cut this up in the video because just watching everything, the majority of them is just going back and forth about pedophilia is this and this, and well, trans people or trans kids shouldn't exist, and well, the law and this and like that. That's all they had, bro. They were literally arguing like it was trash versus garbage. Like both takes are horrendous, okay? Both fucking takes are horrendous, and it just no. Anyway, I started with the prompt where should we cancel Moist Critical for that? No, I don't think so. Like I said at the beginning, you're allowed to disagree on his points, on his what he thinks is morally right and morally wrong, and that's it. You can stop. You can unsubscribe from him or something, or stop watching his videos, or just cut contact with him in like every front you can imagine. But yeah, canceling him for this is ridiculous. Okay, it's straight up ridiculous. I don't think people should be able to be cancelled by just stating their opinions. Even though it's very, very, very weird. Both sides are weird, man. Like a 14 or 15-year-old should not be able to be able to get married, and a 14 or 15-year-old shouldn't be able to use any sorts of HRT. I'll stand firm on that. All right, 18 maximum or minimum. I would preferably say 20. I think 20 is the best age for your brain, because the most people have actually developed their full brain around that time. And that's it, This is one goofy debate, yeah. I was like an hour of this. I couldn't take it anymore. They just argued back and forth about the same bullshit, didn't get anything. Like they didn't argue to understand. They argued for the sake of arguing. They didn't really come to this debate to like make a compromise or like make have like a agreement with something. They're just arguing both points, and both were like I said, trash versus garbage. So yeah. Anyway, let's quickly go towards go through the most critical video he made about the whole situation, about his situation, about he got cancelled for stuff, and then I think that's gonna be a wrap for today.
Betsy, what a week, huh, sports fans? Holy Toledo. Yeah, so Moist Critical's in a big oopsie-poopsie situation here. It reminds me of the time in Moonfall when KC Houseman sacrifices himself and dies of cringe to become the moon. Yeah, so, being serious now, since this has become such a big issue, I've been in a lot of drama recently. I'm in hot water, and I'm biting on the fart bubbles that pop up in the bathtub here. It is a lot. So let's start with the most recent one today. My retirement.
What?
I didn't know I was retiring. That's news to me.
Wait, what?
I'm as shocked as all of you are. I had a ton of fun last night playing a game called Clickleding, which is basically like a cuckoldry simulator, but for clicking against like the Lorax in a hotel room. And I just did like an old school gameplay commentary video. I was bubbly, full of jubilation. I posted it today only to learn that I'm just a big old fucking liar. Liar, liar, plants for hire, I suppose. Apparently, and I didn't know this until I posted the video, everyone was under the impression that I was quitting the internet. So I started scratching at the hair on my chinny chin chin, wondering, when the fuck did that happen? Was I sleepwalking? Do I have somnambulism? Is this some kind of like, Fight Club situation? But instead of like Tyler Durden,
why do
I have
people think he
fucking
got
Charles Turden here that's just making wrong announcements. It turns out the patient zero behind all of this was a post Jackson made announcing that I would be leaving the podcasts, which is something I thought about periodically for quite a few months now, mainly because I started to recognize that I was becoming the very thing I'd make fun of with being chronically online. Like, I just was always online, and the podcasts were a big proponent of that, and I just kind of wanted to scale back the amount of time I spend online. So
I mean, it's kind of your job, though. It's kind of your job. So, but yeah, getting a very good work balance relationship is not a bad thing.
And I kept Jackson in the loop the whole time here about where my head was at. And last week I told him, hey man, I think this is going to be where I hang up the jersey. You can put it in the rafters, throw it in the dumpster, but I think I'm just going to be, sailing off into the sunset here and just reducing the amount of stuff I do online, which he completely understood. So he made the announcement just letting people know that. And then that got spun on Twitter and Reddit as Moist Critical's taking an indefinite hiatus and quitting the internet, fundamentally.
Nice.
Don't know when I'll be back. He's done with the internet because of all
Good old internet, jumping to conclusions like always.
this controversy. Patooey on his grave. He's gone. When looking at the post, I don't even know where that's coming from. It's literally just talking about the podcast and me just stepping away. Like, it doesn't extend beyond that. I can't even wrap my tiny noodle around how anyone could perceive this as me being done with the internet entirely, but that's the story that they ran with, and that's what most people saw, not the actual post. So everyone thought I was quitting the internet, so I posted that video that I was really happy with because it just felt like an OG old school video that made me happy, and then bang! Just a flood of comments and dislikes all saying shit like, how could you fucking deceive us? I thought you quit, huh? What happened to leaving, huh? I just read this post on Twitter from an account that had a profile pic of titties photoshopped onto Thomas Edison that said you were done, and it had 50,000 likes, so I know it was true, and you're just a fucking liar. I can't even just peacefully walk away from some projects without it being a massive fucking reaction over actual nothing burger information.
The real problem here is that people believe information way too early. Just because he is someone that is acquainted to Moist Critical doesn't mean he speaks for him. I will never ever believe anyone outside of someone that is the person himself that would state something like this. Like, let's say I would be really close friends with Moist Critical. Obviously, I'm not. All right, but let's just for the sake of this argument or this explanation, I am, right? And I would tweet out, yeah, Moist Critical, yeah, he's done. He's quitting YouTube. He stopped the podcast, blah blah, right? And people believe me. And then Moist Critical comes out like, well, actually, I'm not quitting. I am just taking a quick little break and I'm doing a little bit less podcasts. Like, why didn't you just wait? Like, why do you believe someone that is acquainted to someone else, right? Why do you think his word is credible without him actually? I don't know. I've not seen the tweet, but I highly doubt that it said, yeah, Moist Critical is retiring. Like, what?
And trust me, no one has a palate more refined for nothing burgers than me. I have ranted about the stupidest shit of all time, but this was mind-boggling even for me. So to set the record straight, no, I'm not retiring, despite what the experts are telling you. All I did was walk away from a couple of projects. Like, that's really it. Like, that's a pretty normal thing to do, especially when one of them I've been doing for like 8 years.
Yeah,
I
that's
really
a long
didn't
time.
think it was that deep, especially not deep enough for how big of a story it's become with all of the wild narratives running around about the true reason that I stopped doing it. So let's get into that drama. I've talked about it on stream, I don't even know how many times at this point, but we'll just talk about all of it in this video here. So,
Yes, smart.
when covering the Ava Tyson situation, I was attacked by a lot of people for not being quick enough. Even though I covered it within like the first 6 hours, people were unsatisfied that I hadn't made a video within like the first fucking 20 minutes of it dropping. And then when I did finally finish the full video covering all of it, it was another massive problem where now I only did it out of an obligation because people called me out, and then I also got accused of being a transphobe because I didn't use Ava Tyson's preferred pronouns, which were she, her. I didn't know that. I thought just calling Ava Tyson by her name was okay, and I had also heard when I went to the Mr. Beast thing, someone refer to Ava Tyson with they. So I was truly under the impression that that was okay.
This is the problem with the pronouns, bro. If your pronouns don't correlate with your biological gender or how you perceive, it's getting really confusing, and whether you're gonna get mad about that shit, I will never care, alright? You can get mad about that all you want. If I see a dude, I'm gonna call you a dude, alright? You better be a good looking woman. Otherwise, I'm not gonna call you a she. That's how it is, bro. It's your job to look like the gender you want to be. That's how it is.
Okay. And for that, I was annihilated by a good chunk of Twitter. And then annihilated by another good chunk of Twitter because I called out Sneeko, who was the main proponent about me covering for Mr. Beast to keep the collab alive. I wasn't talking about Ava Tyson because I wanted the Mr. Beast collab. And I talked about how absurd that statement was, especially given his history with fighting against the age of consent. He's been very vocal about how much he hates the age of consent. And so I talked about that briefly at the end of the video, which then changed the whole narrative for a lot of people where I never talked about Ava Tyson and only talked about Sneeko. So it was a complete lose-lose, because if I didn't talk about what Sneeko was saying, I would have been called a coward for not addressing it and talking about, like, well, he was going to cover for Mr. Beast until Sneeko called him out. So, like, if I didn't do it, I would have been attacked. I did do it, still got attacked. It really was unwinnable. But,
bro, you should just start doing videos like Omni. There's 100% chance, or there's a chance people don't know who Omni is, but it's this guy, and he covers news, just like, you know, Moist Critical pretty much, and he just has like a couple topics here and there that he talks about throughout the video. There's like timestamps about how. Let's just go this way.
What's up, guys? Omni.
Yeah, here we go. See, chapters. So, leader of Hamas, Critical, Quitting, Ludwig, Drama, Noxtaku, Dream, Kaisenet, Death Battle, Jojo Poses, you know, all these chapters, and that's just how he formulate or structures his videos. And I think maybe it would be helpful for Moist Critical if he makes a video like that where he talks about certain topics that are not related to each other. He might be smart to actually make chapters about on the YouTube video to like indicate like what he's talking about and how long and for what, for a big chunk, right? I think that would be would help people a lot.
From that spawned a conversation where I talked to Sneeko directly, because he was very upset that I was talking about how him rallying against the age of consent is pedophile arguments, like defending pedophilia. As I've said since the very beginning of this channel, I'm always willing to engage with people I disagree with, and I thought that maybe there was a chance I misunderstood what he was trying to say, even though it's still abhorrent. I thought, okay, maybe he's not actually trying to defend pedophilia. He's like some kind of pseudo-intellectual debate bro who's trying to say something else. So I was willing to hear him out on it, and I talked to him in DMs, and he said he doesn't believe in the age of consent. He believes in the age of marriage, can't assign a number to it, but said that when someone can legally drive, they should be able to marry at the same time, which is literally like a 15 or 16-year-old, because you get your permit at 15, your license at 16, and both are way too young to be marrying. That shit is completely unacceptable. It is downright disgusting. He then said that he was happy to discuss it in a call, which I said I was willing to hear him out on, and he said that he would do it later because he was outside doing an IRL stream in Turkey. So I was willing to hear him out, because again, if this is some kind of crazy misunderstanding, I'd like to know that, because it'd be really fucking scary for someone in his position with his level of influence to be actually advocating for adults marrying and fucking children. That's a huge problem. That's a big fucking problem. So if there was something that he was like trying to say but failing to do so, I was willing to at least hear it. And this is where the infamous debate came from, the debate that people are calling the debate of the century. I'm kidding, not a single soul on the planet said that. It's actually one of the most dogshit debates I think human beings have ever had. He eventually called me on Discord. I was under the impression this was just him and I talking. I had no idea this was going to be a debate. I thought he was going to try and explain himself like, hey, no, this isn't actually what I meant. This is what I'm trying to say. I thought this was a conversation between him and I. Not this kind of debate show that he was putting on for his audience. There is nothing in our DMs that indicated that's where it was going. When I joined the call, he asked if I was going to record it, to which I said, I can if he wants me to, but I was also down to just talk. So I thought maybe he wanted it as a recording to like explain to people like, no, he's not actually a pedophile defender or advocating for that kind of thing. So I thought that is why he asked. I didn't know it was because it was being streamed, especially because one of his last DMs was about how he's doing an outside IRL stream and he would call me after. To me, that says when he's done streaming, that's when we'll talk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As a part of his stream.
That makes sense.
I didn't know this was a debate nor a stream until about an hour and 40 into it, roughly somewhere in that ballpark. I am not a debater. I've never claimed to be one. I never want to be a debater. I've always said that I believe conversations are the most productive because debates always devolve into what side can score the most points by explaining their thought process, even if the position is wrong. Whereas a conversation is a very different thing to me. So I didn't even know that's what this was. So obviously I was unprepared for a fucking debate. So I entered into the Thunderdome and we started talking. I made it clear that I found his statements on the age of consent and children marrying adults being fucking hideous. Absolutely revolting. And then he started arguing about, well, what is a child? We must define a child, you know. Yeah, it's not actually being under 18. It's all a bunch of hooey. And I really think if you have to start arguing about, well, what technically is a child, you're already way too far gone. Like, that is so fucking weird. And in no uncertain terms, multiple times throughout the debate, Sneeko says that he is okay with people that are aged 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 marrying adults that are 18 or older.
We're talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for, I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore, anyone. Do you think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
A 21-year-old, if there was a marriage where the father consented and the daughter consented, and it was both good on both families and they wanted to do it, why am I going to get involved? Why should we get the government involved?
Even get back a little bit, do you think there's not a problem with a child being with an adult?
Okay. We haven't even agreed upon what a child and an adult is. You keep saying that it's 18.
Under 18 is child.
And I'm telling you, that's not even the definition of the word.
What is the number? It needs to be a number, or else you can do the same thing.
I just told you there's not a number.
Do you see why that's a problem?
No.
If there's no defined, so why can't a 12-year-old marry an 18-year-old?
Because most 12-year-olds haven't gone through puberty yet. And most 12-year-olds...
What if as you just said, it changes. What if a 12-year-old went through puberty early, the parents consent, the 18-year-old and the parents consent? Can they do it?
Most likely that's not going to happen. You know why? Because Islamically, if
we're not talking most likely, just say it.
If the families have consented, the kid is mature, the kid is ready, why should I stop it?
At 12 years old. At 12 years old.
If the kid is physically mature, the parents consent, both parties are happy.
A 12-year-old being physically mature.
That's the only line that actually makes sense.
Again, I don't think a 14-year-old can ever be physically mature.
Mm-hmm. Even though they literally can. Even though puberty actually defines that, it's fine.
I don't believe so. I was 14 once. I actually had a mustache when I was 14. Would you have looked at me and said I was physically mature enough to get married?
If you were physically mature, if you were mature, yes, I would. Okay.
Really? When I was 14.
Yeah. If you were 14 and you were ready to go and you met another 14-year-old, yes, I would.
No. We're talking adults. You keep going back to that.
That is adult.
I met.
I told you my definition. I told you the definition. The definition. Okay. If you went through puberty, you're an adult. That's the definition of adult. So yes, if you're an adult and you got a mustache, you're ready to get married, fine. Okay.
Unironically, saying a 14-year-old adult, I think, would make most sensible people want to puke. There's so many instances of this, and a lot of the conversation was spent with him talking about like overseas age of consent, like talking about how Japan's age of consent was 13 for the longest time, this and that. But the whole thing was like pulling teeth, and it was fucking painful. And I think it's extremely alarming perspective to have. Unironically calling a 14-year-old and 12-year-old mature enough for a marriage, those are middle schoolers. Like, holy shit. I think that is extremely concerning to be advocating for something like that. Like, would Sneeko be okay if his best friend ended up marrying a 14-year-old? He certainly shouldn't be. No one should be okay with something like that. Like, that's fucking terrible. That is actually terrible. But now, since I wasn't like holding him to this topic or making sure it stayed on the topic I thought we were talking about, it went all over the place with a ton of different things. But the big one, and this is what most people have focused on, which was my response to his question about kids transitioning. And the way he would pose that question would be by asking if I thought it was okay if kids who want to switch their gender go to the doctor and get their dick cut off. Is it okay if a 9-year-old goes to a doctor and gets their cock cut off right then and there? And when posed with that question, I replied with yes. And I've talked about this on stream many, many times now, and I'll talk about it again here. I thought he was talking in hyperbole. I thought he was just exaggerating, being over the top, talking about the entire subject of transitioning.
Yeah, there's no way that no one believes that, bro. That's the most horrible horrible argument ever. I thought he was talking hyperbole. I thought he was getting ridiculous.
I had no idea that any living, breathing human being actually thought that that's how transitioning works, where you just go into a doctor saying, I feel like switching genders, and they lay you down on the operating table and just snip your whole fucking meat off. I didn't know that that's what he actually believed. I didn't know he was speaking literally. I thought he was just referring to the entire process of transitioning and just using this over-the-top statement to encapsulate.
Yeah, but it comes down to the same thing. Eventually you're so far gone that you are going to get surgery and, well, literally mutilate your body to the point where your genitals are no longer yours.
Encapsulate all of it, because you literally cannot get that surgery unless you are 18. Like, you actually have to go out of your way to be that stupid on the topic than you would just spending a couple of seconds looking it up. There are very rare cases where someone under 18 has had that surgery performed. That's not common. So I really didn't think
yet. Not common yet. At this rate, it's gonna be common soon.
That someone could be so dumb on the topic. I thought he was just speaking in hyperbole, which is my mistake. I should have been more clear instead of making an assumption that he was talking about something nuanced in an over-the-top way. I haven't hid this take, and it's not a new take from me. I've talked about this a couple times throughout the years on stream. I have no complaints if a kid gets interested in transitioning and starts talking to their family about it. So their parents start talking to doctors, the kid starts talking to doctors and therapists and all of this, because the process of transitioning is one that takes place over the course of many years. It's not something that just happens like that.
Okay, here's a proposition. What if your child comes towards you and he says, I'm depressed and I want to kill myself. And then you go to a doctor, go to like a psychiatrist or whatever, and they conclude they are depressed. You're gonna enable that behavior? You're gonna push that suicide? No. Because it's mentally insane. Your brain is not supposed to try to off themselves. That is not a normal functioning brain. And the same thing goes for this. Your brain is not supposed to be thinking that you're in a wrong body. That's not how it works. The reason why a lot of like these trans people think they're in the wrong body is because they just don't know who they are. They haven't accomplished shit. Their life sucks. And overall, they're just a little bit more different than the rest of them. Or at least they feel like they are different. But in the end of the day, most people don't know who the fuck they are. Alright? And their gender is just a fact. You're either a male or a female. And Whether you want to believe that or whether you want to not believe that, that is on you. But going out of your way to medically change your body to the point where you are no longer be able to, let's say the young boy is no longer to be able to grow a beard or facial hair. It's a more general, more broad term. Facial hair, get a deeper voice, increase their testosterone, and in general just grow into a man, right? You're not supposed to be encouraging that. That person is sick. That is a mental illness. Just like depression, just like autism, just like ADHD, just like fucking schizophrenia, like any of those things. You're not supposed to be enabling that. But for some reason we are. And it's incredibly bad. So even if he said, well, I thought he was going hyperbole, because, well, obviously it doesn't work like that. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work exactly like he said it is, because he already has a problem with just puberty blockers, because normal people would have that problem. Normal people don't think trans people should exist, alright? Especially not trans fucking children. It's mental. It's deranged. Anyway. Go ahead.
And I'm also not afraid to admit that I am not the most educated when it comes to transitioning. I am not someone that has a ton of knowledge about the subject to be speaking on it in a really in-depth manner. But even I know these very surface level things that everyone has easy access to understand. It is a long process. And I have no problems at all if a kid gets interested in that process and starts going through that process with proper care. And then when they reach the age where they can consider that surgery and decide they want to do it, then that's all power to them. That's
okay, so let's say this young boy starts training. He's like 14 years old, right? And he goes to his parents and says, Mom, Dad, I feel like I am lacking in strength and muscle growth. I want to go on HRT to increase my testosterone balance. You're gonna enforce that too? Is that fine too? I think it isn't. I don't think it is. Now, I don't necessarily look down on people that do steroids. I as long as you do it safe, I'm fine with that, right? But you have to be an adult, obviously. But for some reason, if they are mentally ill and they ask their parents to start doing puberty blockers, that's okay. But whenever a young boy is like, I want to have more testosterone to increase my muscle mass, suddenly that's not okay anymore. Even though both are equally as dangerous. Like, just because you have a doctor with you doesn't mean there's no like dangerous like no danger at all for both of these processes. So it's just the hypocrisy that he argues a lot, where you think child marriage is wrong, but child transition is not, even though both are wrong and both shouldn't be a thing. But I don't know, man. This whole argument is dumb because it's a agree and disagree. It's a moral versus moral thing, and in the end of the day, it's not an argument you can win or lose, because, well, it's your opinion, right?
Entirely up to them. They have reached that age. They can now do that surgery if they want to. That is not a surgery that's being offered to like a 9-year-old who just says, I feel like changing genders today. It's just not how it works. And I didn't think that that's what was actually being discussed because it's so fucking silly. Now, I'm sure there's some really fringe cases you can point to where that kind of thing did happen, but it's not common. Thus, I didn't think that's what was being referred to in the conversation. And it is, again, my mistake for not recognizing that at that moment it was being spoken about literally. So all that shit that people keep dogpiling and spouting about me about how I want all kids to go out there and get their genitals chopped off is just fucked up. It's so ridiculous. I recognize I did a horrible job of arguing in this debate, which isn't surprising considering I don't debate. This is
can't really chop off genitals that don't exist yet, can you?
Not something that's in my skill set, which of course led to some embarrassingly dog shit arguments. Like the one I've seen people reference a couple times is when I briefly mentioned sports in this topic. it was a stupid point to try and make. I was getting hit by like some rebound psychic damage listening to some of the drivel brain rot that Sneeko was spouting about the age of consent, and I don't know why I thought this was like an argument to try and make, but I brought up sports in this subject, and I was going to try and elaborate on it, but didn't at all. What I was going to try and say is that when a kid gets interested in a sport, they'll talk to their parents about it, they'll research the sport, and, you know, go through the process of learning about it, and when it comes to transitioning, it's still a process where you
There's no way you just compare someone that wants to try out a sport, a activity, with hormone blockers. You can't be serious, bro. You can't be serious. That's a horrible comparison.
talk to your family about it, you learn about it. Like, it was it wasn't a point where I was trying to say, well, changing genders is a lot like picking between baseball and soccer. Like, it's not what I was trying to get at, but because I didn't elaborate on it and it really wasn't a good argument to try and make in the first place, that's one people have harped on a lot. And I get it. Like I said, I am not a debater. Like, I didn't go in here expecting a debate. So I had nothing prepared here for this inundation of outrageous questions and tangents. Like, there was a point where Sneeko was trying to get me to say white power. Like, the whole thing was a fucking mess. It was, without a doubt, probably the worst debate that video has ever been cursed with. And I really regret not doing a better job here. It's not something I should have even done in the first place. I just have a tendency to really hope for the best out of people, and I was really hoping that I and most people were wrong about Sneeko's perspective on the age of consent. However, unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be the case. He was very adamant about this position. And I did a terrible job in arguing with him, and I did a terrible job of articulating my beliefs. I am supportive of the LGBTQ+, and I have been, and that's not something I've been shy about.
I'm not. I'll never be. I'm okay with people being gay. I'm fine with that. Being bisexual, that's okay. But whenever we go into like a mental sickness, instead of whoever you want to be putting your dick in, or something like that, I don't think that's no, I don't support those people. So LGB, that's good. That's fine. I can support that. That's fine. You know, that's just your dating preference. There's nothing wrong with that. However, whenever the T comes in, I'm done. That's not it. Nope. That's where I draw the line. Now, I would respect them, right? Because they're just human beings, right? But I just don't agree with what they are. And that's fine, you know? Because the majority of them don't agree that I'm just this white straight male anyways, so. We hate each other anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
I just wish I did a better job of expressing that. To be open and honest here, and I've talked about this a lot, I've always treated my channel kind of like a diary for myself, which is why I just talk about so much different nonsense and so many things that I know a lot of people don't give a fuck about, but some of it's fun for me to talk about, or some of it's just things I care about. So being totally honest, I used to treat the internet as an escape from my dog shit real life. Truly unhappy, really hated most of everything about myself, and the internet was my escape from it. But now it's really become that real life is the escapism for me now. Like, I love posting and creating things, but I don't like interacting with the internet around me anymore. And it's something that I started to realize a couple months ago, and I've talked about it on stream a little bit, how because I've covered so many like drama stories and everything, it's pretty much all that I ever get told about when I'm streaming, and it's become such a massive headache, and it's just constant negativity that I'm fully flooded with, like, at all hours. Like,
yeah, I agree. Social media is saturated, full of drama, full of generally just negative things, you know? Like, I can't even count the amount of videos I've seen of like a bunch of like black morons literally just stealing everything that the store has to offer. Like, now that didn't, like, it doesn't make me think, oh well, all black people are thieves. Like, no, that doesn't mean that. However, the more you see it, the more like this like ID starts to enforce in your head, like, bro, if there's so many people doing this shit, like, you start to like on accident like generalize a lot of people, right? especially when you're like interacting with someone on like, let's say, Twitter. I just dissociate with everyone on Twitter. I don't associate them as human beings, because if I do that, then it becomes too personal. And I don't want to be personal with people on Twitter, because those people are weird. All right, the majority of them are weird. Now, some people are good. All right, I have some mutuals on Twitter that are completely okay people, as far as I know. But the majority of people that you're arguing with are most of the time just morons, just complete idiots. And nuance and context and all that is a really annoying concept as well, because nobody fucking understands what nuance or context is anymore. And it's just very annoying, because a lot of just like tiny ass clips like out of context get like posted on Twitter, and then there's a whole like argument on in the comment section below, and then one person thinks this and one person thinks that, and then you're just arguing between one of the two, and whatever point you're arguing, you always will get someone that will disagree with you and will call you a retard or something like that. So yeah, I mean, the majority of social media is just not nice, because a lot of it is just opinion sharing, and people just don't agree or don't respect opinions anymore. They don't respectfully disagree. They don't want to argue. They don't want to like have a conversation about why you think this. Also, the limit on like text for Twitter is very annoying as well, because you can't really formulate a real opinion without being a fucking Twitter blue person. And the majority of people that are Twitter blue are either bots, or they are just these like celebrities that are just washed up, or just like farm drama. So yeah, I agree. I think social media and just the internet overall is definitely or I mean, the real world is definitely an escape for online for a lot of people, actually. But we all started as escaping our real lives, and then we delved in too far into like the online thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm just chronically online. I'm browsing Twitter to argue with people, to like do dumb shit. Like, it's just very, very bad nowadays, because, well, just living normally is weird. Like, I've acknowledged that I have an addiction to my phone. I genuinely do. Now, that doesn't mean I can't lay them down, right? However, I need to like put like time limits on, like, let's say TikTok or like Twitter or something like that. Otherwise, I'm just not stopping, you know? So I'm glad there's like these features, but it's just very insane how online is just very addictive, because, well, escapism is addictive. But in the end, eventually it will get turned around, and then escapism is from going outside of online spheres and literally going outside, like touch grass, you know? So yeah, I get what he means. I totally get what he means.
I am in like this human centipede of eating someone's ass while having my ass eaten, with even more things that I'm being demanded to like talk about, where everything just feels like a lose-lose, and it has been for like the last 6 or 8 months, I feel, where if I talk about something, it's a problem. Even if something is cut and dry, as like Cody Ko having sex with a 17-year-old being bad, I caught a lot of shit for that too. I'm sure a lot of people probably didn't see that, but man, the amount of emails I got and a lot of the things I was seeing, even something as cut and dry as that was an issue when I talked about it. And then if I don't talk about something, or if I don't talk about something fast enough in the time that some people think is appropriate, I'm then accused of covering up for something for an ulterior evil motive. So it just really feels like a rock and a hard place, where regardless, it's just going to be a massive flood of negativity. And a huge critique of me that I've always seen is Charlie's a fence sitter. He's just a fucking fence-sitting enlightened centrist cuck, this and that. And I've always said for the entire time I've been on the internet, I'm not special. I'm literally just a normal guy who got very lucky. I just sit here, joke about shit, talk about my opinion on things, and nothing else. I don't have a unique perspective on things. I don't have deep insight into the vicissitudes of certain things. I am literally just a guy who yaps, has some fun, talks about shit, does some wacky stuff as well, and that's it. It's just not that deep. But because everything is so inflammatory and charged online, it's being perceived in the last, I'd say like the last 2 years, it's really popped off as me making deliberate attempts to appease both sides and play right down the middle to soak up as much as possible. Like it's all this like nefarious scheme where I'm doing this with my hands. And I just don't understand how it's become so incendiary where that's apparently like a really bad thing now. My opinion is not special, and my opinion isn't one that's pandering to.
Yeah, the worst thing you can be is not completely left or not completely right. Because the moment you have like a right opinion, right? And then you have like a left opinion, then people are gonna say like, "Oh, I thought you were right wing," and then like no, this is my opinion, and whether they are left or right wing opinion or based opinions, that doesn't matter because I am not a coin. I am not one side or another. I am a sphere. I have multiple sides. I am a circle, right? There is no edge. There is no flip side. Both of the sides is me. Okay, so whether it's up or down, it doesn't matter because both of them have different opinions, right? You can't really say, "Oh, I am against abortion," and then say, what else is what's like a really left term? Fuck you know. The trans community is great. Let's say that, right? They're fine, right? And then you can't have both those opinions because then people are gonna get mad because you are either a fake right wing or a fake left wing, or you are just indecisive or you're just appeasing people. So giving your real opinion about certain topics that are nuanced or like stuff like that, they're just very looked down upon. Like, you better be in the hive mind of the right wing or the left wing, and if you're like in between there sometimes, and sometimes you pick out, let's say you say you like apples and you also sometimes eat a couple oranges here and there, right? So let's say the apple's right and the left is orange, and then the right is gonna be fucking complaining about how dare you eat oranges when you're supposed to be eating apples. And then whenever I eat an apple, right, and a couple people that's seen me eat the orange are gonna get mad because I ate an apple. Like, it's you can't appease these people. You shouldn't try to appease these people because these people are not people. They are so hive mind, like brainwashed to the point where opinions don't matter. It's just whether you agree or disagree with them. If you don't agree with them, they are your enemy. And if you agree with them, then you might become their enemy because they don't fully trust you to be an ally yet. Like, it's just tiring. I get it. I totally get it, man. I 100% understand it.
To any sides or catering to anything, it's literally just whatever's up here. I sit down for like 30 to 45 minutes on like a topic or like a video that I'm joking around about, and I talk about it. I am legitimately just an average, well, below average height guy who's about to turn 30. I'm not just spitting hot takes out the wazoo here. I'm just being myself. That's all this channel ever has been. You got a sleeper build though. And now it's become super controversial to do that if it's not like, you know, picking sides on everything, it seems. And it's very frustrating. For the longest time, it was just me having fun. And for the most part, it still is. But I've started to recognize over the last few months that some of the things I do just really aren't fun for me to do, and I've been doing them out of obligation. Mainly internet drama.
Yep.
When I initially started covering drama so many years ago now, it was fun because it wasn't as serious. Like, the stories were a lot, you know, more quirky. It was easy to get invested because it was kind of just like a soap opera, like a really dumb soap opera. But
Yeah.
recently it's been much more serious, and I feel the need to talk about these things because a lot of them are extremely serious with very important topics to discuss. But it has become draining. As much as I never wanted to admit it, I've started to recognize that my mood is immediately impacted by whatever I read on Twitter in the morning.
Yep.
If that's some horrible
I
stuff
agree.
about a creator or what have you, it immediately affects my entire day and my whole
That's why I don't
outlook
start with
on the
Twitter
day.
anymore.
Now I know, wah, call the wambulance, get some French fries, just fucking whining about having to talk about drama. What a stupid problem to be upset about. But I'm just trying to explain that it hasn't been as fun recently. It hasn't. And the main thing, if you've been around the channel for a while, is I've always wanted this to be fun and never feel like a job.
Yeah.
And as hard as it
Understandable.
is for me to admit this, a lot of this kind of stuff, it has just started to feel like less fun and more of, well, gotta do this because I'm expected to. Like anytime I go live,
Yep, obligation.
most of chat is just telling me about the latest in whatever's happening in the creator space or some other like extremely negative thing going on. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to learn all about that once I turn stream off. So then I spend a few hours learning about these things, and it's all just really upsetting stuff. Like it's not happy. It's all very sad, bad stuff. And it's been making me not happy. So I definitely think I'll be slowing down on covering internet related drama or like drama in general. I'll still talk about like really wacky stories and shit like that, but I definitely think I'm gonna be pumping the brakes on like the kind of drama I have been covering recently. And instead, I'm going to go back to focusing on the content that I'm most happy with. Like, if you ask me what content I'm most proud of throughout my entire time on this platform for the last, like, 17, 18 years, none of it would be drama coverage. It'd be things like Skynut. It'd be things like shooting a potato at a tennis racket to see if you can make french fries in midair by frying them in hot oil.
That was funny.
It's shit like that. And I think I'm going to go back to that kind of stuff as opposed to the direction that I have been going recently. So, yeah, this was a lot to go over here, but I hope this has cleared everything up. And, yeah, that's really about it. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so in the other day, he's not stopping. It's just his mental health has taken a hit from covering all this drama stuff. And I mean, I understand. I completely understand it. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I've also been down the rabbit hole a little bit because all these, like, I used to like watch like silly animations and all that, and just, I mean, I used to react to anime first and foremost, right? But then I started, all right, now I'm just gonna daily stream, and I'm still like reacting to like goofy stuff and I don't know, gotcha videos, all that. And I will continue reacting to like stuff like that, like anime related stuff, because that's what I like. I like anime, right? I like video games. I like gotcha games. I like all that stuff. But the drama is just, I don't know what it is, but it's just so intriguing. And I don't know if it's just me, but talking about it just feels like you're making a difference in the world. And maybe that's just a complex of mine that I just not really making a difference in the world at all. And I guess that's kind of what I want to do in a way. And talking about drama, giving my opinion, that makes me feel good about myself. That's how it is. Might be very narcissistic, might be very egotistic. Honestly, don't care. It's not like it matters that much anyways, because there's just I react to a bunch of content, so it's not like I only cover drama. But I do realize lately I've been covering more drama than normal because the drama is getting worse, man. Like you said, it's not like any fun drama anymore. It's like let me scroll through this. Okay, so it started off with the Dr. Disrespect video, right? Which, like, if you haven't watched the video, I just want to see the logs. Then I can determine how bad it is. Then it started with Mr. Beast stuff that he well he built houses in poor countries. People were mad at that, but that's mild drama. That's normal Mr. Beast stuff. Then I had like a little meme video where I react to like artists making Teton muscular builds OCs, and people were pretty mad about that. And then I talked about the Chris Tyson stuff, which I uploaded 2 parts of right now. So yeah, I realized in the span of let's see, a month, I started. Oh, and the Dante situation, I also did a video on that shit. So it's just, I don't know. I just don't know where my content is going either. It's just very. I literally am like like Moist Critical actually. I just do whatever. I just talk about stuff. I react to stuff I care about, and then I upload it, and well, that's it. That's all I do. Now I'm playing a couple games nowadays. You know, I still need to continue with Sendless Zone Zero one day, but just haven't really found the time or the energy for it. No, not the energy. The want, the drive. You know, because I don't really think Sendless Zone Zero is that great. It's very tedious game. I think the story's pretty alright. Outside of that, it's just, I don't know. But yeah, outside of that, I just react to stuff and upload it and have a good time, and then get depressed because the videos don't get any views. But hey, it is what it is. If I just continue doing this, eventually, because some videos just pop off and some videos don't, so it is what it is. Like today, I uploaded a new video, where I react to what lust does to your brain. And we'll see how that video is gonna turn out. But yeah, I think I've been yapping long enough now. I think I'm gonna end it here. Tomorrow, what am I gonna do tomorrow? Tomorrow is Saturday, right? Okay. I've decided that Saturday, or Sunday, if I stream Sunday, probably will stream Sunday. The weekend is going to be Elden Ring stuff, because I really want to continue Elden Ring. I've been playing a lot on my own. I've upgraded a bunch. I'm way more powerful now. I have better weapons, or more powerful weapons. I'm higher level. I explored a lot of the map, and I really gotta get through that specific fight where I'm at right now, which was the knight. But he shouldn't be a big issue anymore because I will do more damage, and I can take more damage. So yeah, without further ado, that's gonna be it for today. Still like the daily streaming though. It's I don't know. It's like something I can do. I have to do every day. It's like a rhythm, you know, like an obligation. Just like uploading a video every single day. It's just like an obligation. I need some structure in my life, so it helps a lot. Anyway, that was enough yapping. That's gonna be it for today. It's been fun, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, take care.